Hey, peace of paradise to all the American Aborigines. It's your Sahab, Supreme Chief Holiday. I'm in the building. So shout out to everybody, man, tapped in. Gonna be coming into this later on, man. I want to say we appreciate you guys. Definitely appreciate everybody tuned in. Known CEO to get up in here. Seen Rain Alexander, first Aborigine in the building. Peace of the God. N. Jones, Elizabeth Young, Kimbo Twice, old dude is in the building. Yeah, man, yeah. I want to say shout out to everybody, man, tapped in. It's gonna be a dope show tonight, y'all. We're gonna be getting into, y'all know black is a construct. When we saying black Cowboys and Indians 2, this is Cowboys and Indians 2, decoding harder, the harder they fall. This, I want to say, Aborigine cowboy film produced by Jay-Z and a few other people. Brother Kevin James produced or directed, I think, and it's just a great cash out. It's a great movie. We're gonna be getting to that tonight. What else we got going on? Yeah, man. Like I said, I'm gonna be showing some visuals tonight. Gonna be breaking down a lot of these Cowboys. Like, and one thing I wanted to say when we're talking about Cowboys and Indians are one and the same, right? And I will give you guys an example of what I'm saying. When we talk about the brother Bass Reeves, we're gonna be talking about him tonight. He was one of the characters that were in this film, right? One of the main characters in the film. Bass Reeves, played by Delroy Lindo, great actor, piece of the God, Delroy Lindo, right? And he played the Bass Reeves, but Bass Reeves was a cowboy, but he was also an Aborigine. He's also, like they like to say, they're half Native and half this. They always like to, when they start describing these people as being half African and part Native American, all these things, born into slavery. Y'all dig what I'm saying? Like, oh, they always born into slavery. Moonfae in the building. A Cersei, aka two-time Great Grand Tomb Rising. Bronze Flat Power God. Miss Lita. I want to say peace to the guys, man. We definitely appreciate you guys tapped in. We'll have some music here shortly, y'all. Just wanted to get this thing going, man. Yeah, Cherokee Bill was another character that was in this film, played by Lakeith David. I think that's the brother's name. Lou Era, Grassroot, Peace Dirty. I want to say thank you for the cash out, brother. We definitely appreciate it. You know, you guys, if you guys haven't subscribed to this channel, please subscribe to this channel. And share this on all your social media platforms. We like about 60 short from being able to share on this channel. We're 60 short from being 1,000. Once you reach that threshold or whatever. Well, I'm not gonna monetize this channel. You know what I mean? So appreciate everybody that participates in the building. The only builders, son. We definitely appreciate you guys on that. Hold on one second, yeah. That's tuned in tonight. We appreciate you guys, man. More than you know. You guys could be anywhere else in the world, man. When y'all tuned in here, right here, man. You already know this is the backup channel, but this is the main channel right now, y'all. I don't give a fuck. Sports, news, and entertainment. Fishing with Camo Joe's in the building. Suzanne Thompson, rather. Peace, goddess. Peace of you guys, man. Tapped in, man. Yeah, we're gonna be talking about Stagecoach Mary. Hey, if you guys seen this, press GOAT, please. If you already seen this movie, I don't want to have a spoiler alert. So I don't want to definitely want to do that, but it's definitely gonna be a spoiler alert, and we're gonna be talking about some things in this movie. Now, if you understand the historical context that's based around this, all these characters in this movie were real living people, and we're gonna talk about a few of the characters tonight. Um, you guys gonna also see, um, um, some of the things that they were dealing with. Now, I want to talk about this from Go. Right now, I know when we go back and forth a lot with Pan Africans as well as people who consider themselves or classify themselves as Native Americans, right? They always have a problem with terminologies and different words and verbiages and terminologies that were given to us, right? So on the Pan-African side, as you guys can tell, black is a religion to them. So everything got to be black. If you're not talking black, 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 and just by a word association, Africa and slave go with black. Okay, so that's their legacy. Anytime that they hear black or slave or any of these things, that's what they're doing. Hey man, we want to come in with some music real fast and get some of this Trey Ali pressure, some of that in, and we'll come in with A-State band runners, y'all, Under Hog, and we got some new music that we're gonna be dropping tonight from Threads. Peace of the God, Threads 3000, man. Peace of the God, man. Sent me some fire, y'all. So I'm excited about getting that music out to you guys tonight. And he might be sliding through tonight too, man. Want to say shout out to everybody, man. It's really exciting. It's a really exciting time for me, as I'm really a big fan of the culture. I'm a big fan of y'all. You know what I mean? So just as much as you're a fan, I'm a fan as well. So I want to salute y'all. Take my hat off to all you guys, man. You guys are the greatest of all time. So if you guys seen this film, press GOAT. Okay, so Lou Era seen it, Moonface seen it, Miss Lita seen it, Chief Courtney Mitchell seen it, Haru seen it, T1 Production, Chuck Jackson's in the building, Miss Gretchen Helm, she said it just went up. Shout out to Gretchen. Yeah, man. I want to say shout out to everybody, man. Shout out to Truth over there, man, putting in their work over there, man. Peace to Truth. Everybody tapped in, man. I want to say you guys should share this on your social media platforms if you can. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Periscope, whatever you got on, man. Share the culture, man. Share this historical event, man. So we're gonna be decoding this film, The Harder They Fall, right? So, like I said, once again, we want to get right to this music right now. So, 1 second, y'all. Make sure I got everybody tuned in. If you haven't seen the movie, like I said, we're gonna try not to spoil it for y'all, but we're definitely decoding this movie. Big Aboriginal power is in the building, nonetheless. Peace to the guys, man. Hey, man, you guys haven't seen this movie, man. I like I said, my bad. It's not my. I'm not trying to spoil it for you, or anything of that nature, whatever. But we wanted to be, be on the record as doing a reaction to this video, to this movie, which I think is a classic, y'all. It's one of those ones for the ages. There's a lot of hidden messages in there, in the imagery. So we're gonna see some of this imagery too. So yeah, man. I'm gonna share music. I'm just gonna play it. Just go ahead and start. Let's go. All tolerate for niggas. Show me different one time, I'll fuck with you. All tolerate for niggas.
Show me different one time, I don't fuck with you. Bread had my bed before we steady, bitch, I'm Caesar. Came from the get-go, knew my status, he ain't needed. He fresh out the pen and I'm just happy, kid for breathing. Whole time bitch was scheming, I seen but I ain't seen it. Hanging around the niggas who think smart don't make you big. Hanging around the niggas think they hard don't make you killers. Hanging around the niggas you just met, they ain't your niggas. Heard they snatch you up trying to play cool like shit was chillin'. Loyalty ain't cool no more, niggas rather be hoes. Lucky I don't pimp no more, I would've put you on. Gangsters ain't the same no more, don't give a fuck about their name no more. Homie ain't the same no more, she bang them folks, she bang them folks. I came from the old days, if she both ways, sit up both ways. Never turn the housewife, that shit dead, no way Jose. I wrote this shit while riding in the top down, no shade. Roll these niggas up and then I spark down, propane. I don't tolerate fuck niggas. Show me different one time, I don't fuck with you. I don't tolerate fuck niggas. Show me different one time, I don't fuck with you. It's pressure, 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 pressure. It's pressure, 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 pressure. It's pressure. Riding in the form, I do not kick it with forms. AK only fans, all my choppers doing porn. Driving in their chest, them hollows, break bitch fucking shorts. Crack the bitch backwards, triggers pushing forward. I don't want your paper for your money, got no gold. Fuck them reparations, restitution, get them gone. Tired of being target, so I target on my own. Handy with the chrome, John Wick, tombstone. Say positive like COVID when testings and an investment. Avoiding jabs like Whitaker, critical, they can't stand me. Crazy with the birds versus 10 full captions. Padded room, tools enough, fumes will burn the masses. At the nose like ashes, just me and some ratchets acting ratchet. We don't need extendos cause we aiming at your pimple. So much up in the air, you swear the room on fire. Bodies everywhere, these bitches looking crucified. I don't tolerate fuck niggas. Show me different one time, I don't fuck with you. I don't tolerate fuck niggas. Show me different one time, I don't fuck with you. It's pressure, pressure.
Yeah, I was pressured by Trey Ali, the infamous Trey Ali. We got A-State Band Runners, Mr. LV, Underhog. I want to say shout out to everybody tuned in, man. Let's get it.
Yeah. Nigga flow so sick, hit rewind. Little bit, caught my phone, hit decline. Nigga want me to phone, but tell him keep trying. Been ballin' on niggas, I done retired. Yeah, one time, turn the beat down. Let a nigga go crazy, see now. Fell off, got a bad, had to retry. Bitch sour and shit, had to remind.
Excuse me, it's big dog, straight drop. Yeah, I'm white, mayo.
Everything good as a 10 phone. Pour some drink, roll up some ganja. I'm about to blow like a motherfucking roster. Big dog status, you know I ain't flogging. Go in the way that I want, I ain't bothered. Yellow bone with me, feeling like a mod. She wanna kick it, she my no karate. I just want head, I don't want nobody. Might take a nigga, bitch, that's a rob.
That whole back, stop it, nigga. Ain't no motherfucking option, nigga. Oh, I got your little hoe up on my side like a motherfucking option, nigga.
Big black nigga, my persona. Yes, I'm guilty, Your Honor. Killing these niggas and fucking these bitches. Yes, I admit to the charges. Yeah. ABR be the mafia. Tell them ain't nobody stopping us. Lot of sucker niggas wanna copy us. Still dripping on the floor, you can mop it.
Let me pop my shit. Niggas be killing me. Gotta swap my shit. Niggas watch my shit. Since you niggas stealing, well, let me lock my shit. Let me stop my shit. Yeah, I'm from the bottom, but that don't stop not shit. Bitch, I'm an underdog. I mean, underhog. Still, nothing top my shit. Bitch, I'm the truth. And I showed you over and over again. This shit ain't no fluke. This is the proof. I set the bar in this bitch, and I'ma raise it like the roof. They counting me out. Yeah, they gotta be tripping. I don't know shit about addition. Subtracting myself from anything bullshitting. I move forward, expedition. Since I do music, now I gotta move different. Be damn, I move without a tools. And rappers is dangerous, and I just can't be caught slipping. Be damn, I let a nigga do me. I ain't no killer, but I ain't never scared to shoot it. Don't run up on me like a groupie. We got some beef, nigga shells come included. This won't be a Taco Tuesday.
Yeah, Arkansas, stand the fuck up. Mr. LV, A-State band runner. That's Underhog. So he raised the bar in this bitch. What up, though? Peace to all my beloved ones out there, man. We definitely appreciate all you guys, man, tapped in, man. We're just gonna get right into this thing. Y'all know what it is. So what else we got in here real fast, y'all? I see the OG, quadruple OG, Wilmer Reed is in the building. Omega, Mr. Dark, Fly Brother #1, Monaga, James Gilmore, Chickahominy Roots, DJ ZPE, RP Fam LLC, Shalom Sean Israel, Stephanie M, Alexis is in the building. Say peace to the guys, man. Shout out to everybody, man. Tapped in, man. Y'all tuned into the greatest of all motherfucking time. It's your Sahab, and I come in peace. Hey, man. So I just want to get right into this movie clip, man. Want to pull up the it's a true story. Netflix put out like some type a couple days ago. They put out like I don't know, kind of like a trailer slash something. We're gonna pull it up so I can see it. Then we're gonna get into this film. It's called Harder They Fall. It's produced, Jay-Z. Everybody knows who Jay-Z is. We're gonna have Jay-Z on tonight as well, you guys. So we're gonna have some fun tonight, y'all. But I think this is a very interesting movie, man. I want you guys to see this, and then we get into the conversation about the film. Like I said, I hope this is not gonna be a spoiler alert. We're gonna try not to spoil too much for you. But if you might not want to watch this if you're the type of person that don't want to get spoiled, because we're gonna decode some of the stuff that happened, because I didn't know what happened until the end of the movie, and I just think it's kind of fucked up that you guys not gonna be able to get that opportunity. So let's just get right into this thing, man. The Harder They Fall. Let's go.
And old devil. This is gonna be Buck's last day amongst the living.
The Harder They Fall is a new kind of Western from director James Samuel. The film follows outlaw cowboy and gang leader Nat Love in his quest to take revenge on enemy, outlaw cowboy and gang leader Rufus Buck. Were Nat Love, Rufus Buck, and the members of their gangs real people? Is The Harder They Fall a true story? James Samuel based all 10 of the film's main characters on real people who lived in the Wild West, though they lived in different places at different times and did not know each other. In the film, Jonathan Majors plays Nat Love, a fugitive dead set on getting payback for what Rufus Buck did to his parents. The real Nat Love wasn't a fugitive or gang leader. Love was born into slavery in 1854 in Tennessee. At 15 years old, he won a raffle and used half the proceeds to start a new life out west. Love made his reputation as an expert writer and gunslinger. At 22, he earned the nickname Deadwood Dick after placing first in a cowboy competition in Deadwood City, South Dakota. In 1901, he released an autobiography, The Life and Adventures of Nat Love, better known in the cattle country as Deadwood Dick. An experienced writer himself, Jonathan Majors also performed all of his own stunts on horseback. The real Nat Love did not have a cross-shaped scar on his forehead.
You can say his name, man.
What about Rufus Buck?
Idris Elba plays Rufus Buck, the meanest outlaw around.
I've heard of Rufus Buck. How bad a man he is.
The real Rufus Buck was 18 years old when he and his gang gained infamy. The Rufus Buck gang consisted of Buck and 4 other teens. Buck was part black and Native American. 2 members were Creek Native American, and 2 were formerly enslaved by and emancipated from the Creek tribe. In 1895, Buck led his gang on a 13-day crime spree. The gang violently pillaged across Oklahoma and Arkansas in an attempt to stop white settlers from stealing more native land, using similar tactics to those that white settlers used against Native Americans. All members of the Rufus Buck gang were executed in the gallows of Fort Smith in 1896. Love retired from cowboy life years before Buck got his start. Cherokee Bill wasn't actually a member of Rufus Buck's gang, but they were incarcerated at Fort Smith at the same time in 1896, while both awaited the death penalty. Born Crawford Goldsby, Cherokee Bill got his nickname from his heritage and his reputation. In Cherokee territory, Bill was a term used for a person with a wild hand. Like Love and Buck, Cherokee Bill started his career young. He was first charged with a crime at 17 for shooting a boy who embarrassed him in front of a girl he liked. He went on to rob trains, banks, and post offices.
My name is Cherokee Bill. Now let it be known that I don't particularly enjoy violence.
Bass Reeves was also a real person, but this isn't the first time he's been turned into a fictional character. A skilled shooter and tracker, Reeves is believed to be the inspiration for the Lone Ranger.
I'm willing to bet my right arm. I got a higher body count than yours.
That'd be a bad bet, son.
Reeves was the first black U.S. deputy marshal west of the Mississippi. His job was to help curb the thievery, murder, and general crime that ran rampant in the West. Director James Samuel based Cuffy on Kathy Williams.
What's your real name?
Cuffy, my real name. Name I was born with, Kathy Williams.
At 17 years old, Williams joined the Union Army during the Civil War by posing as a man, William Cathy. She was the first black woman to serve in the U.S. Army and went on to become the only documented female Buffalo Soldier. The real Jim Beckworth was a fur trader and horse handler known for being an unrepentant exaggerator.
Ah! I am sweet. You're not sweet. I'm sweet. You're not sweet. I'm sweet. You're not sweet. Bitch, I'm sweet.
Beckworth became a war chief in the Crow Nation of Indians, married and abandoned several wives, helped gold prospectors make their way to California, and participated in the Mexican War and Cheyenne War. His fantastical stories are told in the 1856 book The Life and Adventures of James P. Beckworth, mountaineer, scout, pioneer, and chief of the Crow Nation of Indians.
That's some true outlaw shit. We outlaws, ain't we?
Bill Pickett was one of the most famous rodeo cowboys of the time. His specialty was steer wrestling, where he subdued steer by biting them on the lip.
That's crazy.
Pickett's fame helped him transition to a career in entertainment. He appeared in 2 silent films in the 1920s.
On my return, see you change his soul. That road was far.
That road was far
And way too long.
and way too long.
Ghastly Gertrude Smith. I prefer treacherous Trudy myself, but I'll take it.
Treacherous Trudy was inspired by Gertrude Smith, a pickpocket who found her marks in San Francisco's Barbary Coast during the California Gold Rush. A red light district known for its lawlessness, the Barbary Coast was home to all kinds of criminals and gangsters. Smith worked side by side with fellow pickpocket Dolly Mickey, and the two served 6 months in county jail together. The film versions of Trudy and Mary are more representative of women in the Old West than the female characters of classic westerns. Women owned land and businesses, toted guns, and generally had more autonomy than women in eastern states.
Get that horse and his wagon, get that man and his rifle, get that priest and his Bible, for them that's dead on arrival.
In The Harder They Fall, Mary Fields is a saloon and brothel owner who can easily hold her own with Nat Love. Mary Fields was 6 feet tall, carried a rifle, wore men's clothing, drank, smoked, fought, and earned a reputation as someone not to be crossed. She also made friends with nuns, hung out at saloons with men, and was known for being kind to people down on their luck. In 1895, Mary became the first Black woman to work as a Star Route mail carrier for the U.S. Postal Service. She drove a horse-drawn stagecoach through Montana, where she regularly contended with thieves and wild predators. In The Harder They Fall, Redwood City is a prosperous, all-Black town.
Citizens of Redwood, a new day is dawning.
Redwood City didn't exist, but it resembles other towns of the time. Dozens of all-Black towns sprang up in the West after the Civil War, when former slaves and free people sought better opportunities away from oppressive laws and society in eastern states. These towns were designed to be self-sufficient, so residents didn't have to travel to potentially dangerous white towns to meet their needs. Redwood's name was inspired by Greenwood, a thriving district of Tulsa, Oklahoma that came to be known as Black Wall Street. Greenwood was destroyed by a violent white mob in the 1921 Tulsa Massacre. Hundreds of residents were killed.
All right, stay calm, everybody. Don't touch nothing.
In the movie, we see a train stick up. How often did train robberies actually occur? They weren't an everyday thing, but train robbing was definitely a trendy criminal pastime. Cherokee Bill, Jesse James, and Butch Cassidy all robbed trains. Why were trains a popular target? They transported gold, silver, banknotes, and bonds.
You're gonna rob a bank.
Despite their popularity in Wild West stories, bank robberies were not common. Jesse James is credited with committing the first armed bank robbery in the Wild West, and Butch Cassidy pulled off a couple big heists. In the movie, Jim Beckworth is intent on proving he's a better quick-draw shooter than Cherokee Bill.
Hey, I hear you so fast that your opponents ain't got time to draw before you put 2 in their back.
No, that ain't me. I'm the Cherokee Bill that shoots men in the mouth that talk too much.
Quick-draw shootouts were romanticized by dime novels, roadshows, and Western films. The first documented quick-draw duel took place in 1865 in a town square in Springfield, Missouri. Wild Bill Hickok shot Davis Tutt over a gambling debt dispute. Though most people owned guns in the Old West, spontaneous quick-draw duels in the town squares were not the norm.
Evening, gent. Kindly check your weapon and enjoy the festivities.
Your Stagecoach Mary's place and ain't no guns allowed.
Except for Mary's, naturally.
Cuffy's insistence on collecting firearms at the entrance of Stagecoach Mary's saloon reflects common practice in the Old West. Tombstone, Dodge City, and Deadwood City had laws that required visitors to turn in their guns upon entering town. Mixing fact and fiction for a highly entertaining story, The Harder They Fall imagines an all-star showdown of some of the most notable players in the shaping of the American West. Watch The Harder They Fall on Netflix now.
Yeah, man. So they kind of told the plot of the movie, you know what I mean? Nat Love is the main character in the movie, and the protagonist in the movie is Rufus Buck, aka Idris Elba, right? Now, I'm not gonna tell y'all the end of the movie, so you definitely got to see it. And if y'all seen it, salute to y'all. Y'all know what I'm talking about. But because it's just a nice little twist at the end there, right? But when we're talking about decoding this situation, right? I just say this right here. If when we're talking about historical accounts and things that really happened, you know, what they said was a lot of these people didn't live in the same time period, even though they were real people. They didn't live in the same time period. or even some of them in the same region, so they might not even know each other, right? But when it comes down to it, when we're talking about it, we wanted to decode some of the stuff that was going on. Now, one thing that you guys seen that was consistent throughout all these people, right, that they were associated with Native Americans. Now, this is them saying Native Americans, but we understand that Native American wasn't a construct that they were using then. So when you say Creek, when you say Cherokee, like Cherokee Bill, for instance, you know, I mean, you know what I'm saying, they tell you specifically who these people were. So we're gonna examine some of these characters that were in the movie while we decoding this, because a lot of the stuff that they tell you, surface stuff, like once for instance, they'd be like, well, so and so one of, you know, these, as you guys are gonna see, we're gonna pull up Nat Love first. Let's pull up Nat Love. Since he's the main character of the film, we're gonna pull up Nat Love. They spoke on him a little bit in this little clip that y'all seen right there, but we wanna check on old Nat Love and see what's going on. Nat Love, and see if he's the man that's described in this film. You know what I mean? So I want to say shout out to all these ancestors, from Bass Reeves, Nat Love, to Stagecoach Mary, which we're gonna get into that conversation too, y'all. Yeah, man, I'll go ahead and drop the link in the chat room if you guys want to come up here and talk about this. Which is Sahab. Yeah, it's not gonna be a spoiler alert, man. We're not gonna try to spoil it for y'all. So we're only gonna tell exactly what you guys see. We're not gonna get too much deeper, you know, in the decoding of it. But I did want to say that you know, they you know, these people become war chiefs, you know, and things like that of these nations, and fought in these different wars and all this stuff. These were Aborigines. These were Aborigines, right? Let's pull this up. Now we know that they're saying certain terminologies and stuff like that, but let's just get into this right here. So we got your boy Nat Love, right? Sometimes spelled Nate Love, right? Nat Love, Nate Love, right? This brother was born, according to them, June 1854, died in 1921. Now, see that 1921? Now, when he died, there's people living that right now today, right, which would be 100 years old, right? So it's people older than 100 years old that are around. So this is not that long ago. So, all right, 3 generations. Follow me? All right. Was an American, check this out, was an American cowboy and former slave in the period following the American Civil War. Now, what's crazy is this is after the American Civil War, according to them, right? See, 1854, right, to 1921. So let's examine this. Now, you see how they go right there? American cowboy, right? Not an African cowboy, right? Not a European cowboy, an American cowboy, and former slave. Now, here's the interesting thing about the word slave. He was a family member. He was a part of a family. So he was born into slavery, right? Because remember, family is slavery. So when they're telling the truth, they're lying with a forked tongue at the same goddamn time. Okay? Follow me. In the periods following the American Civil War, right? His exploits have made him one of the most famous heroes of the Old West, right? Now we're gonna get into his early life. Now he's one of the like, that's what they're saying. They made a movie about it. Nat Love, Nate Love, right? They made a movie about him, right? So early life, Love was born enslaved. Now remember this word, enslaved. Now they just said he was a slave, former slave. Now they're saying he's enslaved. Now when we talk about in slavery could be apprenticeship, and slavery can be employment, and slavery, right, can be a family member. Y'all get the point. It's a lot of ways you can go into it. Indentured servitude, that's slavery, okay? That's enslavement, okay? So it's a lot of word spells going on right here, whatever. But once again, these are real people that have real lives, so we have to decode this, okay? So this is what we're doing. Now, enslaved on a plantation of Robert Love. Now, I don't have to tell y'all that him and Robert have the same name, okay? Get that in the back of your mind. Robert Love in Davidson County, Tennessee, around 1854. His father was a slave foreman on the plantation's fields, right? Now, his father obviously had the same name as Mr. Love, right? Obviously, and he was the foreman. Now, when y'all saying foreman, what does that mean? Oh, one of your sons is in charge of this particular section of your business. This is their job, to be the foreman, right? You have a job, right? Foreman of the plantation, right? This is your business. This is a family business, making sure that the business is running well. Management, foreman, things of that nature. Y'all get the point, right? So, Fields and his mother, the manager of hold on, check this out. So his father was a slave foreman on the plantation's fields, and his mother, the manager of its kitchen. So his mother managed the kitchen, right? His father was the foreman of the plantation, of this business, y'all. So right? Y'all follow me? And they had the same name as Robert Love, who was the master. Y'all see how this work? Family member, master, right? I seen this thing, y'all. Check this out. Just a sidebar. I seen this thing, right? It said the blackest names in America. Do y'all know what the first name they said that was the blackest name in America? I can't make this up. Washington. They said like 90-something% of so-called black people are Washingtons. Jackson and all these other names, right? I thought it was really interesting that they said that these are black names, these are the blackest names, and Washington was the first on the list. I thought that was really interesting. Yeah, you know, when we talk about Washington, Jefferson, Jackson, and all these other things, and we keep telling y'all they've been whitewashing history, okay? They've been whitewashing history because you know they whitewash these cowboys because this is not a European culture, right? You guys didn't bring cowboy and rodeo and country music or any of this culture to America. This is our culture, okay? So I just want to get back to this. So it says his father was a slave foreman on the plantation's fields and his mother, the manager of his kitchen, right? Love had two siblings, an older sister, Sally, and an older brother, Jordan. Despite slavery era statutes that outlawed black literacy. Now I want to talk about that. Now, I don't know if you guys, but can somebody please produce this law that said that niggas couldn't read, right? Now, this is the same time while they're saying that this literacy thing is happening, right? They're opening up Indian schools and church schools all over America. So it doesn't make any sense. If I want to indoctrinate you away from who you are and what's going on, I'm definitely going to get you to read the things that we're producing for you and teach you how to think the way we think it. So that doesn't make sense for ultimately what they're talking about. So once again, that's a psych op. Right? That's a psych op. There's no such thing as black literacy laws against us, period. He learned to read and write, despite all of this, right? As a child with the help of his father. That means that his father knew how to read and write. Now, remember, he's a foreman, right? So, of course, of his father's plantation. Y'all follow me? Or his wife's father's plantation. Y'all understand how this go? Let's keep going a little bit. His father's Samson, right? His father's name is Samson. I keep people's name Samson, right? It said when slavery ended, right? Love's parents stayed on the Love plantation as sharecroppers. Y'all hear that? So not only did they stay there, they kept the name, right? And they stayed there as sharecroppers. Now they got set free, they got emancipated, right? After the Civil War, right? Y'all remember this? After the Civil War, slavery's over, according to them. I say slavery just started. in 1865. I submit that the abolitionists abolished our system of family that was there for thousands of years. Now, you know how I was asking Renee the other night, right? I was like, Renee, and I've been asking this for years, can you please produce this lifelong slavery? Because if we can find documentation for indentured servitude in the contract or whatever, right, then you should be able to find the same documentation, right, for lifelong slavery. Now, when you are born into a family, last time I checked, a lot of you motherfuckers are still in the same family, right? Y'all ain't left the family. You ain't, you know, even though some of y'all might not even speak to your family members no more, but you still in that family. Y'all understand what I'm saying? So I think it's really weird that these people will be enslaved, right? Keep their name, pass the name on, and then stay there, right? As sharecroppers, okay? Now, so attempting to raise tobacco and corn on about 20 acres, but Samson died shortly after the second crop was planted. Afterward, Nat took a second job. Now, when he took a second job, that made him a slave again. Second job, he's a slave again. Remember, employment is enslavement, okay? Took a second job right there, okay? Took a second job, working on a local farm to help make ends meet. At about this time, he was noted as having a gift for breaking horses, right? If y'all understand what breaking horses is, that's taming them, right? Now remember, that was something that we were like horse whisperers, right? We were expert riders, expert marksmen, we were expert rodeoers, we were expert cowboyers, right? We were expert cowboys. Once again, black is a misnomer. We're gonna get back to that in this conversation. I wanted to break this down. Once again, you're pushing black as if you had pale cowboys. Those are John Wayne now. That's not true, right? See, once again, Hollywood is going to put out the images and things that they want to put out. And these are the images that went in our psyche as children. So we don't see these images right here as children being heroes. Like, imagine, could y'all imagine? They told me that Matt Dillon was a brother. He was portraying a brother. And I don't know if that was Bass Reeves, one of these guys, but Chuck Connors as the rifleman, and all these niggas was portraying our ancestors, y'all. Do y'all get it? But these images, them pushing them in our heads as the heroes or whatever, right, is a psychological weapon that it's psychological warfare that they're using against us. You understand what I'm saying? Psychological warfare that they're using against us, and they're using it by using words, okay? So this is what we got going on. Let me see. It says, so after some time of working extra odd jobs in the area, he won a horse in a raffle on 2 occasions, which he then sold back to the owner for $50 each time, right? He used the money to leave town at the age of 16, headed west, right? And that says life as a cowboy, right? Love traveled to Dodge City, Kansas. Y'all know when Wyatt Earp was over there, Doc Holliday and those guys, where he found work as a cowboy. Now, they talk about this word cowboy was specifically a terminology for Negroes, specifically. It's like a Buffalo Soldier. You're not gonna be like, oh, well, Buffalo Soldiers are Native Americans, or Buffalo Soldiers are Asian people, or Buffalo Soldiers would be Caucasian pale people, right? You know who Buffalo Soldiers are, right? Now keep that in the back of your mind. Y'all know who Buffalo Soldiers are, right? So with the cattle, so he said, worked as a cowboy with cattle drivers, okay? From the Duval Ranch, located on the Palo Duro River in Texas Panhandle, right? According to his autobiography, right? Love fought cattle rustlers and endured inclement weather, right? Inclement weather, okay? He trained himself to become an expert marksman, and cowboy, for which he earned from his co-workers the moniker Red River Dick. In 1872, Love moved to Arizona, where he found work at the Gallagher Ranch located along the Gila River, right? He wrote in his autobiography that now this is his autobiography, right? While working the cattle drivers in Arizona, he met Pat Garrett, Bat Madison, Billy the Kid, and others, right? Deadwood Dick. Deadwood Dick. After driving a herd of cattle to the railhead in Deadwood, Dakota territory, he entered a rodeo on the 4th of July in 1876. Enticed by the $200 prize money, he won the rope, throw, tie, bridle, saddle, and bronco riding contest. That's just about all of them, man. It was at this rodeo that he claims friends and fans gave. Wait a minute, hold on. What's this? Okay, he claims that friends and fans gave him the nickname Deadwood Dick, right? A reference to a literary character created by Edmund Leighton Wheeler, a dime novelist, okay, of the day, right? So he said he was captured and escaped, right? In October 1877, Love writes that he was captured by a band of Pima Indians. Hey, can we see who the Pima Indians are? The Pima Indians are a group of Native Americans living in the area consisting of what is now central and southern Arizona, as well as northwest Mexico in the states of Sonora and Cholula, right? Or Chihuahua, right? The majority population of the surviving two bands of the Akimel, Akimel, Odom, are based in two, I guess that's it. I guess, hold on, what does it say? Based in two reservations, right? So these people are based on two Indian reservation, Indian community. So you guys see what they look like right there, right? Now these are modern ones, right? These are modern ones, right? I wanted to be I want you guys to kind of see what we're looking at. So, right now you see what they look like right now, right? So in 1877, when Deadwood Dick, right, was captured by them. Now these are new people. These are new right here. These are not 1877 people right here, okay? You follow? These are new, okay? Let's go back to it. I ain't gonna get into all that. Talking about the desert people, right? All that, getting back to that. While rounding up stray cattle near the Gila River in Arizona. Although he claimed to have received over 14 bullet wounds in his career, with several received in his fight with the Native Americans while trying to avoid capture, right? Love wrote that his life was spared because the Indians respected his heritage. Let's say this again. Love wrote that his life was spared because the Indians respected his heritage. A large portion of the band themselves being of mixed blood. So what they're saying is that these was nigger Indians, right? Right? These is nigger Indians. And what I'm receiving is that he was running from somebody else, fighting somebody else. But this saying that he was captured by these people. So we're gonna go with their story or whatever. Their story is he was captured by these, and they wasn't called Native Americans, they were Pima, right? So it's interesting that they're writing Native American because once again, they want you to believe that they look like the people that we just showed you, the new Pima Indians, right? So they said that they spared his life because he had a similar heritage as they did, okay? Right? He almost married, then one of the chiefs tried to get him married to one of the daughters, right? The band of Native Americans, right, nursed him back to health. Well, once again, they wasn't called Native Americans then, right? So they nursed their brother back to health, right? They tried to get him married to one of the chief's wives, right? I mean, one of the chief's daughters, wishing to adopt him into the tribe. Love rights. He stole a pony and escaped into West Texas. Okay? Life after being a cowboy. Yeah, it ain't really, I'm really done with him. Yeah, I'm kind of done with him. But as you guys can see, that they always trying to say somebody's mixed because you have black blood. And this is still the same story that they're telling today. You know what I'm saying? That niggas got black blood, all this dumb shit. And niggas will take that, internalize that, and say, oh, okay, well, like Lashana Longwolf will go to the Breakfast Club and say that she is mixed sitting next to a mestizo. And say, okay, and look at them and say, hey, you the full-blooded, and then I'm mixed with black and, right? No African conversation. Now, what's interesting that when we look into this time period, right? Like y'all know what we have in 1877? We have actual newspaper articles. We actually have things that are snapshots in time, right? And during this time, they didn't call anybody Native Americans or African Americans or Africans or black. Okay? You would see Creek, you would see Negro, you might even see freedmen, but you're not gonna see black, you're not gonna see African, nowhere. Nobody was doing that, you know, describing themselves as Africans or saying they had African heritage. But these people right here are writing that into history. It's historical records. Now, here's what's the interesting thing about that. Now, what's interesting is, once again, we talk about the Library of Congress, we talk about the doctrine of records. Well, after they burnt shit down, they came back and said, okay, well, we're just gonna have to rewrite this based off of our memory and how things should go. And even not even having pictures. So they said, okay, well, we'll just make George Washington look like this, make these people look like this, right? This is the whitewashing or the bleaching, right, of history. But not only pictures, but also when we're reading Wikipedia, you have to know how to decipher this. You have to have discernment. So that's what we're dealing with. You know, having decipherment, having discernment for what's going on. So, say peace to everybody, man. See Vixen in the building. Who else we got up in here? Lamones Jr. Lyrical Nevels is in the building. Peace to the guys, man. Who else we got up here? Cleveland Young, T1. Make sure I got everybody, man. Thank you guys for tapping in, man. You Trap, B-A-B, Trap, what it do? Put this link in the chat room, man. You guys tap in, man. If you guys enjoying this build. We're decoding the movie just came out on Netflix called The Harder They Fall, y'all. We just showed a clip of that. One thing that's prevalent, you know, just in the mindset of our people is this caste system, right? And once again, you know, I didn't want to put black in the title, but I needed to put black in there so because we want to talk about this concept of black. Now I could go over black, show you guys the etymology of this 100 times, and we can go over it, but we understand that when you do that, right, and we're talking to Black Power Rangers, right, these motherfuckers will be telling, but we're not talking about what the word used to be. We're talking about how the word gives us power now. And I'll be like, well, what power are you getting from being at the bottom of the caste system, right? Because at the end of the day, black is still a part of the caste system, y'all. You understand what I'm saying? So black is still a part of the caste system. So people don't really realize that. And so once again, they're participating in their own losery, okay? So they're really emotional about it because they're acting like we're saying fuck our people. No, we're not saying that. We're getting to the bottom of these things. So when we're talking about the loves being enslaved, yeah, you're born into your family. That's enslavement. Okay. Shout out to the Empress, the original Copper Empress Holber. Peace to the goddess. So yeah, so that's what we're talking about. Y'all gotta understand that. So that's what they're doing to us. So yeah, man. So it was like what we were talking about today, man. I got up today, this morning. I was like, yo, I got a question for the day. And I was like, what is the difference between a Native American and American Indian? So I'm going to ask that question again because Native Americans didn't exist even during this time period when we're talking about Tulsa, Oklahoma in 1920, right? So it didn't take them 2 years, 1 year, whatever, to create the town of Greenwood back in those days, right? It took them longer to get that together than for them to tear it down. So the pale skins coming in, right, and setting up a system, and okay, well, the resources and certain things were going to certain places. So jealousy and other things that, you know, what these people doing. So we understand what has happened historically across this country, not just in Greenwood. What they said that they came up with the town Redwood, right? Now in this town, they said Idris Elba, right, which is Rufus Buck. Damn it, y'all. We have to put something on real fast, y'all. Just real quick, Rufus Buck is the guy that was running the town. Who y'all seen? They robbed the train basically to break out Rufus Buck, which is Idris Elba's character, right? Hey, can we want to pull up? I want to pull up the ladies of the Old West. They say black women of the Old West or whatever. I want to pull this up, yeah, because this is before we get into the next character, which is Stagecoach Mary and Cuffy, what you guys seen in the film, whatever. We want to talk about them, but I want to play this video real fast for you guys. So yeah, let's put this on real fast. See Brown Wolf in the building, J.R. Neji, James Gilmore, Yolanda Bell, Yabanda, excuse me, Empress. Peace, Empress. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you guys, man. We definitely appreciate you guys, man. You could be anywhere else in the world, man, but y'all tuning in with us. Skittles, Conway, Midwest Queen is in the building. Peace to the guys, man. We appreciate you guys. Yeah, man, we want to pull up this video of women of the Old West, y'all. I want you guys to see this video. Like I said, it's really interesting how they classify these people, you know. So, yeah, man, let's pull this up. Oh yeah, we're having a little technical difficulties right now, man. So 1 second, y'all. Bear with us.
Welcome 2. The Black Excellence and Abundance Channel. Movies, television shows, books, magazines are filled with heroes from the Old West. However, African American women are virtually never mentioned. Historians have also contributed to this unjust and unbalanced recording of the Western saga by completely ignoring the many accomplishments of Black women. Despite the fact that they are accurately reported in newspapers, government records, military reports, and pioneer memoirs, as members of a double minority, Black women have suffered an even greater historical injustice, although they were an integral part of the Western fabric. Nothing more clearly demonstrates the contribution of Black women to the Western tradition than the biographies of Biddy Bridget Mason, Clara Brown, Mary Ellen Pleasant, and others. Today, we take a look at some of these pioneer great women who never quite get the credit that they deserve. Elizabeth Thorne Scott Flood was born free in 1828 in New York State, and she was educated in Massachusetts. She married Joseph Scott in 1852, and they moved to Northern California later that year. After Joseph died, Elizabeth and their son Oliver moved to Sacramento. At the time, Sacramento was a sizable African American community, but because all non-white children were barred from public school, they were unable to receive an education. After her son was denied enrollment, Elizabeth used her own home to open a school for Black children in 1854. Initially, Elizabeth's school was only open to African American children, but shortly after it opened, she started accepting Asian American and Native American students as well. The Sacramento School Board assumed control over the school in 1855, although they refused to commit public tax revenue to it. What a surprise. Elizabeth continued to teach and became the first African American public school instructor in California. She retired from teaching after she married Isaac Flood and moved to Oakland. However, seeing the lack of educational opportunities in Oakland for non-whites, Elizabeth once again opened a school in her home. Meanwhile, she and her husband founded the Shiloh AME Church in the town, Oakland's first Black church. The church led the way to the purchase of a schoolhouse where she taught until her unexpected death in 1867, at the age of 39. Her successful activism led to school integration in Oakland, and Elizabeth's daughter, Lydia, was one of the first students at the newly integrated schools. Bridget Biddy Mason was born into captivity in 1818, but her exact birthplace is unknown. Like so many other enslaved people, she was forcibly taken from her family and sold several times. Her final enslaver moved to California. Now, California was a free state, so the moment that Biddy entered California, she was technically free. However, her enslaver kept this information from her for 5 years. Once she learned this information, she petitioned the court for her freedom and for that of her children. Despite the obstacles that were set in place and the fact that she was not allowed to testify, she won her family's freedom and adopted the surname Mason. Mason settled in Los Angeles and worked as a nurse and a midwife. After saving money for a decade, she invested in real estate, becoming one of the first Black female landholders in California. In spite of the obstacles in her way, nothing stopped her from achieving greatness. Her wise investments made her a fortune, and a prominent citizen of the city, which she used to establish multiple charities, schools, daycares, and the first African American church in Los Angeles. Clara Brown was a former enslaved woman born on January 1st, 1800, near Independence, Missouri. She became a community leader, philanthropist, and aided in the settlement of the former slaves during the time of Colorado's gold rush. She was known as the Angel of the Rockies and made her mark as Colorado's first Black settler and a prosperous entrepreneur. At the age of 3, Clara and her mother were sold and moved to Kentucky. She married at the age of 18 and had 4 children. In 1835, Clara's family was broken apart when they were all sold to different enslavers. Clara was sold to a plantation in Kentucky. At the age of 35, Clara's enslaver died, and her husband's son and daughter were sold at auction to different enslavers. Could you imagine, folks? The atrocity of being sold like a piece of property and your family just separated. What a tragedy. After an additional 20 years in captivity, she was able to buy her freedom and immediately headed to St. Louis. At the age of 55, she agreed to serve as a cook, laundress, in exchange for free transportation to a caravan headed for the gold mines in Colorado. After all she had been through, Miss Brown still found it in her heart and dedicated her life to the betterment of others, no matter what the race, creed, or color of the person was. I have to say, she's way better than I would have been. But anyway, this great woman of God had great humility, and even after her enslavement, she did not have a prejudiced bone in her body. Miss Brown settled in the mining town of Central City, Colorado, where she established a laundromat and became very successful. As her resources expanded, she opened up her home, which served as a hospital, church, and hotel to the town's less fortunate. With the money she made, she invested in properties and mines in nearby towns. Known as Aunt Clara for her emotional and financial support, Brown was a founding member of a Sunday school, made her home available for prayer services, and generously supported the community. At the end of the Civil War, Brown could freely travel and liquidated all her investments to travel to Kentucky in order to find her daughter. Although at first she was unsuccessful, she did manage to pave the way for 34 or more of her relatives and others who were formerly enslaved to move to Colorado. Finally, in 1882, she did reunite with her daughter and her granddaughter. Mary Ellen Pleasant was a millionaire and an abolitionist. Very little is known about Pleasant's young life and parents, but she was raised in Nantucket and worked as a domestic for an abolitionist family. She was very light-skinned and on some occasions passed as white. Mary Ellen became involved in the abolitionist movement and worked with the Underground Railroad. She married another abolitionist, James Smith, and gained a substantial inheritance after he died 4 years later. In 1849, she remarried and moved to San Francisco. Pleasant started a restaurant that catered to wealthy businessmen in the city, and she would often eavesdrop on these men to pick up investment tips and financial gossip. These bits of information came in handy, as Pleasant was able to use them to make a fortune in investments. She used her money and influence to assist African Americans who made it to San Francisco through the Underground Railroad, and later she successfully fought against racial segregation in California through a series of lawsuits.
I have a challenge for all of you. Go to every computer in your house, your mom's, your dad's, your sister, your brother's computer, and install Honey. Wait,
She also gave militant abolitionist John Brown $30,000 to support his raid on Harper's Ferry in 1859. In 1901, she dictated her autobiography, and when she passed in 1904, she was one of California's most famous residents. Another great black pioneer and personality of importance was Miss Caste Williams. She was born in Missouri in 1842. Her father was a freeman, but her mother was enslaved, which meant that Kathy herself was born into captivity. She was captured by Union forces in the Civil War, but as with many captured enslaved people, she was pressed into servitude in the Union Army. After the war ended, Cathay Williams found herself a free woman. She wanted to enlist in the army, but they didn't accept women. Williams didn't let that stop her. She just changed her name to William Cathay, posed as a man, and served with the Buffalo Soldiers for 2 years. After her secret was revealed, she was discharged from the army. She moved to Pueblo, Colorado, and married a man who would eventually steal all her money and run away with her horses. Williams had him arrested, moved to Trinidad, Colorado, and took up work as a self-employed seamstress. Miss Abby Fisher, born enslaved in 1831 South Carolina, she grew up and eventually worked as a cook in a kitchen. She married Alexander Fisher around 1859, and together they had 11 children. The family moved to San Francisco, California in 1877 looking for economic opportunity. There, she opened her own immensely successful catering business called Mrs. Abby Fisher and Company and won awards for her cooking. Abby's Southern cooking was the toast of San Francisco society, and she became only the second African-American female cookbook author in America in 1881 when she published What Mrs. Fisher Knows About Old Southern Cooking, Soups, Pickles, Preserves. Her cookbook had 160 recipes. The book is a treasure trove of Southern cooking for historians, and it was reprinted in 1995. Her book can still be purchased on Amazon Kindle today. It was the great Black women cooks of America that inspired the fictional character Aunt Jemima. The brand is still wildly successful to this day. These unheralded, unsung, and unappreciated Black women of the Old West helped establish the country that we know today. They were teachers, nurses, businesswomen, builders of churches, landowners, cooks, nannies, mothers, wives, and daughters. They were indeed then, as they are now, the backbone of this country and the world. The Black Excellence in Abundance channel, where Black history is every day. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. And as always, never forget that thou art rich.
Yeah, man, I was enjoying that. Shout out to the ancestors, man. What they went through. I just want to say once again, though, you guys, when we're talking about all these people were and described as being enslaved, they was not necessarily slaves. They were born into slavery, right? But once again, I gotta keep saying this. This is very, 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 very important. They were born into a family. That's slavery. You dig what I'm saying? Chat room, yeah. Hold on 1 second. You guys haven't checked out the American Shogun Commander-in-Chief, Egypto-America, uncovered by yours truly. It's out now, man. Go check that out. Hit me up at chiefholiday@gmail.com. If you guys want to check that out, man. It's almost 8 hours of pure, never seen before information. A lot of times when I'm going back and forth with people, y'all, it's a lot of stuff that I have actually done the research on. So I don't have to, like when I'm going back and forth with somebody, I'm not pulling up any documents. I'm not, none of that. I know what the hell I'm talking about. So I don't have to look shit up. You know what I'm saying? So I know a lot of times you guys are, not you guys, these guys are hearing shit that they never heard before. You know, they get a little frustrated. You know what I'm saying? They get a little frustrated. That's okay though, you know. But let's get right into this. Mary Fields, aka Stagecoach Mary, right? Now, we're decoding this movie now, right? Now, in this movie, we're gonna talk about Mary Fields, right? But we're gonna show you, if you guys seen the movie, that you know who's playing Stagecoach Mary. Now, I don't. Hold on, but before I get there, I don't want to get ahead of myself, right? Mary Fields, aka Stagecoach Mary, right? She was also known as Stagecoach Mary, was born in 1832, died in 1914, right? Now, Stagecoach Mary also was called Black Mary, okay? Was the first Aborigine, they say African American, female to star route mail carrier, right? In the United States. Now, she was not an employee of the United States Post Office Department, which did not hire or employ mail carriers for star routes, but rather awarded star route contracts to persons who proposed the lowest qualified bids and who, in accordance with the department's applications process, posted bonds and securities to substantiate their ability to finance the route once a contract was awarded. The contractor could then drive the route themselves, sublet the route, or hire an experienced driver. Some individuals obtained multiple star route contracts and conducted the operations as a business. Fields had the star route contract for the delivery of the U.S. mail from Cascade, Montana to St. Peter's Mission, right? She drove the route for 2 4-year contracts from 1895 to 1899 and from 1899 to 1903. Okay, 11 years before she passed. Cool. So she did this for a long time, yeah. Or when she was older. Author Mayte McCaff McConnell, god damn, how many names you got? Provided documentation discovered during her research about Mary Fields to the United States Postal Service Archives historians in 2006. This enabled the USPS to establish Mary Fields' contribution as the first African-American female star route mail carrier in the United States. Early life and career. Fields was born into slavery. Sure she was. In Hickman County, Tennessee, in around 1832. That's around the same time that they talk about Harriet Tubman. Peep game. After the Civil War ended, she was emancipated. Oh, really? She was emancipated and found work as a chambermaid, right? On board the Robert E. Lee, a Mississippi River steamboat. Now, what's interesting that even after they lost so-called Civil War, you still had steamboats named Robert E. Lee and all this other dumbass shit. All right, it's pretty interesting. There, she encountered Judge Edmund Dunn, and ultimately worked in his household as a servant. After Dunn's wife died, check this out. She worked in this dude's house as a servant, right? Now they say he is of Irish descent. They showed a picture of him. So, you know what I'm saying? So it's a pale skin, right? He sent Fields and his late wife's 5 children to live with his sister mother, Mary Amadeus, in Toledo, Ohio, where she was mother superior of a Ursuline convent. Now, y'all remember what they said about those old nuns, right? So after Edmund's wife died, he sent his children of 5 with Stagecoach Mary to a convent in Toledo, Ohio. I follow? Okay. In 1884, Mother Amadeus was sent to Montana Territory to establish a school for Native American girls. Well, they wasn't Native American girls, but y'all get the picture, at St. Peter's Mission, right, west of Cascade. Learning that Amadeus was stricken with pneumonia, Fields hurried to Montana to nurse her back to health. Amadeus recovered, and Fields stayed at St. Peter's, regulated multiple charges, regardless as, quote, men's work. So that basically she did a bunch of stuff that they would have regarded as men's work. At the time, such as maintenance, repairs, fetching supplies, laundry, gardening, hauling freight, growing vegetables, tending chickens, and repairing buildings, and eventually became the forewoman, right? She did all that. She should have been more than the goddamn forewoman, right? The Native Americans called Fields White Crow. I see that? Because she act like a white person, but has black skin. Ugh. Life in a nunnery was placid, but Fields' heartly temperament and habitual profanity made the religious community uncomfortable. In 1894, after several complaints and an incident with a disgruntled male subordinate that involved gunplay, right? She got into it with a nigga that was under her, that she was working with. She had to gun butt him or something, right? The bishop banned her from the convent, and Fields moved to Cascade, where she opened a tavern, right? Now in the movie, Stagecoach Mary was famous, and she had a chain of taverns and restaurants and things like that or whatever, right? We'll get back to that. So just said she opened up a tavern, right? Now, wait a minute. All this slavery and all these people coming out of slavery, but they working and become entrepreneurs and to build things or whatever. But they said that this woman, they called her White Crow because they say she acted like a white woman. Well, that means that she was refined and she had an education. You follow me? That they didn't even have. So why are they saying that she act like a white woman? Y'all follow where I'm going with this? Like, so like to be like educated or to be refined or something like that or whatever. Now that makes you act like a white person. I think that's kind of crazy. You know, even into this day's time. So you can just tell you the mindset of these people writing this goddamn passage right here. So that's how I take it, y'all. You know, when we uncovering this. Let me see. I show them tavern. I want to do, but Wayne, due to allowing, like, now check this out. The cash poor to dine free. It closed to bankruptcy about 10 months later, right? So check this out. So she closed down because she was feeding the poor. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to Stagecoach Mary, y'all. By 1895, at 60 years old, Fields secured a job as a Star Rock carrier, which used a stagecoach to deliver mail in the unforgiving weather could y'all imagine the terrain out there in Montana during that time period? And y'all know how cold it get and everything out there. She did that for 8 years, bro. That's crazy. And a stagecoach, right? So let's see. Some stuff there. Nuns, talking about the nuns who relied on Mary to help their mission, right? This made her the first, once again, there they go that bullshit, first African American woman to work for the U.S. Postal Service. True to her fearless demeanor, she carried multiple firearms, right? Most notably a 38 Smith & Wesson under her apron to protect herself and the mail from wolves, thieves, and bandits, driving the route with horses and a mule named Moses. Check that out. She never missed a day, and her reliability earned her the nickname Stagecoach Mary due to her preferred mode of transportation, the stagecoach, right? If the snow were too deep for her horses, Fields delivered the mail on snowshoes, carrying the sacks on her shoulders. Sheesh. Shout out to Stagecoach Mary, y'all. Now, yeah, I guess we've, let's see, finish that. She died in 1903 at the age 71. She retired. Let's see what else. Okay. It says she continued babysitting many Cascade children and owned and operated a laundry service from her home. So even to the end of her life, she still was into business. Fields died in 1914, Columbus Hospital in Great Falls. And her funeral was one of the largest in town had ever seen. She was buried outside Cascade. That's what's up, man. She was a Catholic. Company and activities of local men. Instead of hanging out with the sisters and the nuns and shit, she'd rather be hanging out with men, drinking and fornicating and shit. So shout out to Stagecoach Mary, y'all. So decoding the movie, right? I don't know if we could show y'all seen what Stagecoach Mary looked like. I want to show the character, the sister that plays Stagecoach Mary in the film. Because if you guys haven't seen it, I want you guys to see this because it's gonna go into the conversation we just had. Now we just seen the real Stagecoach Mary Fields, right? Mary Fields, what she looked like, her demeanor, things of that nature, whatever. Now the sister that played Mary Fields, like I said, I'm gonna put her up real fast, y'all. So y'all can get a look at her. And now, when we're talking about decoding this film, right? Now, one thing they let you know that Redwood was a black city, right? But there was another town that they had to go to, right? Now they said that they had these black towns because it was dangerous to be in these pale towns, right? To go to these pale towns. But y'all gotta understand, there wasn't no pale towns. They're writing shit into history, okay? Like even with Greenwood, then like they moved, they had another town. No, they were in Greenwood. They were just on the other side, right? Building for their people and their side and redirecting resources and things to them there. So when we talk about this caste system, yeah, when we talk about the color caste system, it's a real thing, even in our psyches today. So casting, the casting director said, okay, well, we're going to cast. I said, I'm going to pull this sister up real fast. So you guys can see her. Let's zoom in on it a little bit. Y'all see her? I don't know the sister's makeup. What's a Zazie Beats? Zazie Beats is her name. Shout out to Zazie Beats, y'all. I don't know if you guys seen her in any other movies or whatever, but She looks more like a mulatto than Mary Fields, right? Not to say that that's a thing, but when they were casting these people, right? Just say for instance, Cherokee Bill would look more like her than the brother Stanfield. He would look more like her. So just wanted to keep everything right and exact. The lady on the left does not look like the lady on the right, Mary Fields, right? And they could have had other actresses play this part or whatever, but they chose to push the color cast system or whatever. And it was like to if this movie is about, I don't want to give it all away, but there's a one point where they had to save her, right? You know what I mean? And once again, it's always the damsel in distress or the y'all get it, like the King Kong effect. Y'all got it? You understand what I'm saying? As far as how they move. So when we talk about this color cast system or whatever, they're pushing the color cast system on as far as you have black, then you have mulatto, right? Which even in the movie, to me decoding this, right? Me looking at this or whatever, Stagecoach Mary obviously was the heroine of the movie, so to speak. Y'all follow me? So, which is the love interest of Nat Love, right? Which is the main character. So she was the main character's love interest in the movie, which is Stagecoach Mary, right? Now, it was interesting because, of course, Regina King was in the movie. You guys see her on the what's it called? She played a tough part. Treacherous Trudy. Her part was super. Like, she has one of the best parts in the movie. It's a great cast, man. Delroy did his thing. Brother that played Nat Love did his thing. You already know Idris is a beast. Just classic. It's a classic movie, y'all. So, and they also showed a part where the brother had Nat Love had a scar on his forehead. I'm not gonna tell you guys how he got the scar on his forehead. You know, you guys will see that when you watch the movie, right? But we talk about symbolisms, y'all. Now, y'all know we've been tapping into this baby boule stuff and everything. Now, not to be spooky or to take it there or whatever, but I believe in symbolisms, and a lot of times they put the symbolisms in these movies. So the cross that you will see in this film, that's prevalent in this film or whatever, it's a different type of cross, you know, and I submit that is attached to the Baphomet and these other things. So decoding this film or whatever, once again, Idris Elba character was trying to stop the sale of the town of Redwood, right? And the tactics that he was using after he got out of prison, it was like, anybody, y'all gonna have to scrape up this money. Anybody don't have this, it's gonna be problems. You know what I'm saying? So he, anybody that defied him, he didn't mind knocking their ass off to get to the objective. And so his objective was to stop the pale skins from encroaching on our lands and taking our towns, taking our land. And they were just buying land that towns were already on and displacing people. Okay, so that's what this movie is about. Now, for me, I kept thinking, because you got to understand, the Nat Love gang was against the Rufus Buck gang, right? Now, in my world, in my mind, I kept thinking when I'm watching the movie, like, yo, they're going to eventually, instead of killing each other off, they're going to eventually get together and know that they have a common enemy coming, right? Now, Deon Cole plays a sheriff who's a corrupt sheriff of Redwood, right? And he was the one that made the deal with the pale skins to sell the town, right? For $50,000, y'all. Big game. Now, he said when he was having a conversation with him, he was saying that there's a flood coming, right? And we say flood. It's a flood, right? there's a flood coming. It's like, this is inevitable. Like, basically, they were like, yo, these people is coming. There's flood coming, regardless of what y'all doing. He's like basically selling and take care of himself and his and getting out the way. Now, I heard somebody say the other day, I don't forget who it was talking crazy, talking about these people ain't never, our people never sold any land. We're still selling land because family members, yes, they took land illegally through taxations and annexations and eminent domain and so on and so forth, right? They absolutely took land. Absolutely. That's a fact, right? But y'all just gotta understand, man, like, you know, these laws and these things are illegal. You understand what I'm saying? They're illegal. They're not real. So people taking land from us and stuff like that or whatever, all these things are legal transactions. And so reverse engineering these things is what we need to do. So yeah, finding any paperwork or documentation stuff that links you back to certain things. So I'm not saying you shouldn't do genealogy. I'm not saying you shouldn't find any deeds, patents, anything that you can link yourself to power. That's what we're doing. So when we're talking about these characters in this film and the flood of these people coming into the flood of people encroaching on our lands, this is what we're talking about historically. So yeah, man, I wanted to show you, play some new music tonight by King Azir. I'm not King Azir, excuse me, Peace of King Azir. Threads 3000, man. I want you guys to check this song out, man, called we're gonna play For My Niji. Let's play that one, y'all. Say shout out to Threads, man. So what you guys think about this unreleased music by Threads 3000. Yeah. Shout out to everybody, man, tapped in, man. Definitely appreciate you guys. See Amaru Dawood in the building, Blue God, John Horse. What we got in here? Studio Mansion. You guys, your first time, man. Welcome, man. We definitely appreciate you guys, man. Man, you guys appreciate the build, man. Support the channel. Sharing all your social media platforms, man. We definitely appreciate you guys. Oh, Queen Third Eye Cream is in the building. It's like I'm over here, man. Nobody thinking about your leader with his snitch ass, with his good snitching ass. Hey, I want you to answer this question though, Queen Third Eye Cream. Hey, what's the difference between Native American and American Indian, fool? So I need you to tell me, because I'm sure you're a teacher. Can't tell you. Hardline Hefe is in the building. Pieces of God, Priests and Kings. What up, though? Ghetto Child Inc. It's not adding up to the narrative. Yeah, they're not, because y'all got to keep in mind, right? One thing I realized, shout out to once again, Penny, aka Miss Legit Part 2, aka Sister Renee, right? So one thing I realized, right, that some stuff that they be saying that just don't make any sense, right? Now, they're always saying that they know that slavery, right, didn't exist in the British colonies, right? So that means that slavery didn't happen until after the Revolutionary War, right? So now you got 1770s, right? So up until 1770, right, there was no slavery in the British colonies, right? Now, peep game. Now, but when they talk about it, they're still speaking of slavery, right? From 1555, 1619, right? 1619, they would be like, they transported slaves, right? They transported Africans, right? They just, right? This is 1619. 1619, those people were not slaves. Okay? Guess that is word? Like those people weren't slaves. Right there, boom, no slaves. All right. So even if you go from 1776, right? 71, 76, 1770s, right? Going into 1865. That is only 100 some odd years, right? I submit that there's no slavery because you would be able to document this slavery after 1770, whatever. You have all this other documentation, right? So a documentation that came out during this time would be the Constitution. According to Frederick Douglass and according to me, when I read the Constitution, I don't read a slave document, I read a freedom document, right? That's what I read. I don't read slavery the way it's set up. I don't read black, I don't read white. It is not in the Constitution, period, okay? In any translation. So when people saying these black laws, all this other stuff, it's illegal, you're lying, there's no such thing as these laws, okay? Now you've had people who have made city ordinances and states have done certain things that other people, other states have adopted, even the nation has adopted. But for the most part, most of this stuff has been repealed or it's just a social construct. It's not a real construct, y'all. They make us believe it's like that. Y'all understand what I'm saying? They make us believe in our minds that slaves couldn't read. If they was to read, then they was punishable by death. Really? Show me the law. Show me the law. Anybody, please email me at chiefholiday@gmail.com. Please email me slavery. And what I mean by that, you're supposed to be able to say, here, right here, this is the law that says that all you niggas and y'all children born are slaves forever, based off of John Punch or John Kazar's case. Okay? Now, in those cases, both of those fabricated stories, John Punch and John Kazar ran away with two pale skins, right, from black so-called masters, right? Anthony Johnson being one of the masters. I forgot the other guy's name. But so they're even telling you in this scenario, right? Like, because think about it, even if that happened, that was 1681. So then that would debunk that because they're saying that slavery didn't happen for another 90 years. See what I'm saying? So when they're saying stuff, they're even talking about slavery after 1865. So they talk about slavery before 1776, and they talk about slavery after, as if slavery was happening after 1865. You understand what I'm saying? The psyop. They'll show you some pictures that are in 1938, and they'll be like, look, right there, 1950s, and they'll be like, look, right there, people working in the field as slaves, right? Clearly, it tells you the date on it, or they have these things on it. So the psychological warfare and the damages and stuff that we're doing to ourselves is happening in real time. Yeah. So this is what we're talking about. Let's see what else we got in here. Everybody, man, tapped in, man. Tap that like button. Master Green is in the building. Black Indian immigrated. Peace to everybody, man. Definitely appreciate you guys, man. On the screen, winner. Make sure I got everybody, man. Copper Colored Goddess is in the building. Peace, Empress. The Chosen One. Peace to the God, man. Heavy Feather 45 is in the building. Peace, God. Earl Wakan is in the building. All you guys investing in crypto and stock market. Okay. A lot of people are there. Reginald Jones is in the building. Regal, what's that? Bad Man. What up, though? Appreciate you guys tapping in, man. We appreciate it, man. Chief Kokomo's in the building. A lot of people in the house tonight, man. Appreciate you guys. So, getting back to the movie, right? While we get ready to pull up this music, hey, whenever you're ready to play the music, we can just go get right into it. I wanted to let you guys know this is unreleased music. 3,000 Threads, man. Shout out to Threads. It's called For My Niji. It's the first record y'all gonna hear. So, whenever you're ready to play it, that going. Let's go.
So what's happening? So the government and all y'all cross the line. So what's happening? My ancestors wouldn't like you cross the line. So what's happening? We original, y'all.
I don't know about y'all, but it's kind of low.
For my niche, my niche, my niche, my niche. Oh yeah, my niche, my niche. I do this for my niche, my niche, my niche, my niche, my niche, my niche, my niche. I do this for my niche. Should've left me where I was, cause I ain't never scared. Took that little ice off my neck for this girl kid. Yeah. My nation, my niche, someone thorough said. Real Americans, still pure blood, we thoroughbred. I'm like, let my people go and just take me instead. When it's red or blue pill, I'm only choosing red. I'ma always choose my people, you can keep that bread. Our government owe $1 trillion, you can keep that bread. This one thing Jim Crow is showing me. I don't want no white folks ruling over me. I don't want no politicians ruling over me. I don't want no po-po ruling over me. Only somebody just like me gon' treat me like me. I'm Anya Cherokee, Chief and Dr. G.L.E. I'm still a G like DST. Might not be as G as me. Think you free, but you need remedy to be as free as me. I'm from the hood, I'm still waking up my people. They got us good, they still hating on my people. When it comes to fashion.
Peace to the CEOs in the building, y'all. Hey, having a little technical difficulty. We'll be right back to that. Mega Red's in the building. What up, though? Thomas Dodson Jr. is in the building. Peace King. Appreciate you guys, man. Hey, Third. Hey, Queen Third Eye. What? Why are you here, sir? Why are you over here messing with me? I come in peace. Oh, you over here taking notes for Dane. You might be Dane, though. You over here taking notes for Dane. That's what I'm gonna do. Yeah, man. I don't know. Yeah, man, you over here messing with us, man. Nobody messing with you. So you over here taking notes for Dane. That's fine. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if Threads is around, man. We can have a conversation with him and ask him where he's from and talk to him. Okay, well let's start it over. Let's try it again. Threads 3000, man. Yeah, let's just try that again. It's called For My Niji, y'all. How it sound to y'all, man? Press go if that sounded good, man. Could be my little raggedy Biden phone over here. Say support the real, man. We definitely appreciate everybody, man. Support the real. So yeah, so hey, that's the question for you out there. Okay, Gretchen got a. Okay, so let's get it. Let's put that back on, man. Might have just been my connection, yeah. So Reds 3000. Let's get it. For my Niji. Strictly for my Niji, for my Niji, for my Niji.
Enemy of my tribe, I operate mine, so what's happening? So it's government and all y'all cross the line, so what's happening? My ancestors wouldn't like you cross the line, so what's happening? We original, y'all GMO, y'all lying. I do this for my Nietzsche, my Nietzsche, my Nietzsche, my Nietzsche. Oh yeah, my Nietzsche, my Nietzsche. I do this for my Nietzsche, my Nietzsche, my Nietzsche, my Nietzsche, my Nietzsche, my Nietzsche. I do this for my Nietzsche. Should've left me where I was, cause I ain't never scared. Took that little ice off my neck for this girl head. My nation, my Nietzsche, someone thorough said. Real Americans, still pure blood, we thoroughbred. I'm like, let my people go and just take me instead. When it's red or blue pill, I'm only choosing red. I'ma always choose my people, you can keep that bread. Our government owe $1 trillion, you can keep that bread. It's one thing Jim Crow is showing me. I don't want no white folks ruling over me. I don't want no politicians ruling over me. I don't want no po-po ruling over me. Only somebody just like me gon' treat me like me. I'm Anya Cherokee, Chief and Dr. G.L.E. I'm still a G like DST. Might not be as G as me. Think you free, but you need remedy to be as free as me. I'm from the hood, I'm still waking up my people. They got us good, they still hating on my people. When it comes to fashion, the whole world wanna be like us. When it comes to music, the whole world wanna be like us. When it comes to dancing, the whole world wanna be like us. Foreigners are doing everything, trying to weaken us. Sports, y'all can't fuck with us. Rhythm, know we killing y'all. Anything involve a ball. Mentally, we figured out the cosmos. After all the beating shit, we smashing y'all. It's time to take the asking y'all rights by blood after all. Vatican and the Smithsonian got all our shit. Artifacts and relics still keeping us away from it. And they say, that was a long time ago, that's racist shit. Y'all holding and keep stolen shit. We don't need y'all holding it. Reverse engineering our technology, controlling it. Gave it everything you got, but you can't put no soul in it. I ain't go see the new Matrix cause I'm living it. Everything is not what it seems, but I'm killing it. Can you afford to pay attention who you living with? Now they trying to mandatory facts, but is you getting it? Fall back off my Nietzsche, I'm peeping y'all tactics. This ain't no Earth war, this here is galactics. Goddesses and gods warming up like practice. We gon' put arrows on your chest like that. Mongoloids can't style like us, them fake natives ain't wild like us. They ain't got a soul, destiny as a child like us. Nobody power like us, nobody peace pipe like us. Boxing, y'all can't fight like us. Nobody lost they white like us. Wake them up, I'm in the way. Say too much, I'm in the way. They trying to kill us anyway, so listen what I'm finna say. Everybody I kiss, we raised y'all anyway. Listen, he's finna say. Everybody ain't here to stay. Is you with us or against us? Ain't no in between. I'm a non-ether being, not a human being. Fucking 1492, but all my allies what to do. Renegade got killed for days. Be careful, I advise you to. Yeah, my tribe, I operate mine, so what's happening? Government and all y'all cross the line, so what's happening? My ancestors wouldn't like you cross the line, so what's happening? We original, y'all GMO, y'all lying. I do this for my Nietzsche, my Nietzsche, my Nietzsche, my Nietzsche. Oh yeah, Nietzsche, my Nietzsche, my Nietzsche. I do this for my Nietzsche, my Nietzsche, my Nietzsche, my Nietzsche, my Nietzsche, my Nietzsche. I do this for my Nietzsche.
Yeah, man, it's Threads 3000 for my Niji. Peace to the God, man. Yeah, man. Hey, it's unreleased music right now, man. Y'all heard it here first. It's just Sahab. Hey, and I come in peace, man. You're tuned in to the greatest of all motherfucking time. Hey, and I just wanted to say welcome to all and haters too, man. We definitely appreciate you guys. I know you guys getting some out of this too, man. Because you could be anywhere else in the world hating on somebody else, but you're here hating on your boy, man. So I definitely appreciate it, man. And y'all know what they say, man. Love and hate, cousins. Press go. So shout out to everybody, man. Tapped in, man. Appreciate you guys, man. Real time in real life. Man, if you guys aren't gonna be coming in, man, we're gonna be getting out of here pretty soon tonight, man. Gonna hold you guys up too long. We started kind of late. Truth is going in tonight, y'all. I don't know if you caught that Queen Third Eye. I don't know if you caught that or not tonight, but subject matter was on your leader. And just once again, when we're talking about this concept, this terminology, and we're saying what's the difference between Native American and American Indian, right? Yo, you know, we say this all the time, man. I don't know if you guys are spades players. I love the game spades. It's a dope game. It's fun to play. It's a social game. You can have fun and talk shit, right? Drink, you know, it's just a fun social game. You know what I mean? A lot of people play bid, a lot of people play some other things. I like spades. Spade is fun to me, right? And I don't usually play with jokers because I think it gives an unnecessary advantage. You know what I'm saying? Extra cards. I think jokers are for you know, people that need extra spades and stuff like that, right? So I don't really honor that part of it. I like to play ace high. However, you know, they do have jokers, little joker, big joker. And when it comes to social, political, empowering ourselves here on this land, where Aborigine is the big joker. Now, it could be the little joker if you put a tanchan in there, but a tanchan, right, is a word that, you know, it's like a tanchanist is the, you know, like the, when they graduate from Indian, right? When they graduate from Indian, then you went to indigenous, then you went to Aboriginal, right? Then you'll graduate to a tanchan, like, you know, we sprung from this soil. Because if you tell somebody, say, hey, man, when did you guys come here and say, we've been here, that means you're saying that you never came here and that you sprung from this soil, that you're a tanchan, that you're Aborigine. Doesn't say that you're American Indian. Those are social constructs, okay? So when if you just say we're Americans, that would have been fine. But when we say we're the first Americans, right? For people who are confused, they're saying you're the Aborigines of this land, that we're the first inhabitants of this land. That's all we're saying, which gives us social, political, economic empowerment. Now, if you're a Black Power Ranger, why are you mad at us for going for social, political, economic empowerment? Now, one thing I do hear from these clowns, they'll be saying shit like, well, how did you guys lose your land? You know, at least they beat us up and drug us on the bottom of a boat being pissed the shit on. You guys got beat with a pen. Like, really? So you guys didn't lose your land either? You guys didn't get abused here? You didn't guys didn't get displaced? You didn't guys didn't get taxed? See what I'm saying? The mind frame of these Black Power Rangers is really crazy to me, the way they think. You know what I'm saying? I think it's really interesting, to say the least. Yeah, I mean, I really think it's really interesting just when you just think about it, the mindset of these people, which is really crazy. That Black basically takes them all away from this land, period. No matter what we say, Black is from Africa, right? And they love to say things like African descent. Okay, when you talk about African descent, you're talking about the out of Africa hypotheses in the theory of evolution. I think it's really interesting how if everybody evolved and walked out of Africa, right, that they're talking about everybody, but everybody. We the only people, right, that are African descent, right? People of color. So everybody else, even Spain being 9 miles from so-called Africa, right, are not African descent. People with a closer proximity to Africa wouldn't be descendants of Africans, right? So their social construct works in their favor however they want it to work. So they could be from Africa when it needs to be convenient for them, right? But when it comes to, say, a pale skin mestizo saying, you know, pushing the out of Africa is only out of Africa or monkey theory for us. You see what I'm saying? So they don't attach themselves to that social construct only to put you on the bottom of it. You understand what I'm saying? So when we're listening to these people, I was listening to something earlier and the dude was going in on the owl stuff. Like I thought it was really crazy. You know what? We should pull up another video from Black Excellence talking about the Black Cowboys and stuff like that. So I think it's pretty interesting, some of the information that comes in there. You just have to be able to decipher through the black stuff. When you're hearing black, when you're hearing black, when you're hearing black, keep hearing black, or you hear somebody say African descent, right? That's a part of the social construct. Once again, we know for a fact that there's a thing called the Ghetto Informant Program or the Black Program, right? That's a real program. Like, I don't know why people act like this thing doesn't exist. See what I'm saying? So that's what we're talking about when we're talking about this program, the Ghetto Informant Program, things of that nature. So, yeah, let's pull up one of those videos. I can't really think. I can't really remember. Look real fast. Hold on one second. Hey, you know what? You know what I want to do? I want to pull up that producer's joint with Jay-Z on there. Let's pull that up. And get a real reaction. So I haven't heard this yet, yeah. I thought it was really interesting. I want to pull this up. Jay-Z and a couple other producers of the film, and the brother, I guess his name would be Kevin James, right? Kevin James, the director of this film, are on a hangout or on a Zoom call, and they're talking about this film. I thought it was really interesting. You guys can see this, so you guys are gonna see it at the same time I'm seeing it. So they're gonna be discussing the production and the behind the scenes of the film we just seen. So we're gonna see if we can extract some goodies out of this. I want to say shout out to Jay-Z, aka Sean Carter, the Jigga Man. Y'all know who it is. I see a Tantrum's History is in the building. Peace of the God, man. He said, what's that song? That was Threads 3000, man, For My Niji. You guys gonna be playing another unreleased song tonight. Sagittarius Jones is in the building. Peace, God. From Brother Threads tonight, y'all. So I'm gonna say shout out to Threads, man.
Conversation with the creative team behind The Harder They Fall. With us, we are thrilled to have director, writer, and producer, Mr. James Samuel, producer, Mr. James Lassiter, and producer, Mr. Sean Carter. All three of these gentlemen have received the PGA mark for this film as well. Before we get started, I would love to say a quick thank you to all of our friends at Netflix for making this panel possible for members of the Guild. It is my pleasure to introduce our moderator, Reginald Hudlin. Mr. Hudlin is a director of movies like Marshall, The Black Godfather, House Party, and Boomerang. He is also an Oscar-nominated producer for his work on Django Unchained. He just produced the Emmy Awards for the second time and has also produced the Oscars and the NAACP Image Awards. He has served on the board of the Motion Picture Academy and the Producers Guild. Thank you all so much for being here. And Reggie, I will turn it over to you.
Thank you so much, Diana. I'm very excited to have this conversation with you all. I remember when I first saw the trailer for The Harder They Fall, and I have rules, right? We all have rules in what we do. And I know there's a lot of Black people who are always very reluctant to do period films. They go, well, there's nothing good that happened to Black people before 1980, so let's avoid that. And I disagree with that attitude. I think you can tell those stories, but the key is foot to ass must be applied for 85 to 90 minutes of the time. And the minute I saw that trailer, I'm like, this is my kind of movie. This is going to be foot to ass the whole time, and I can't wait. So when they said, hey, you can moderate the conversation, I was like, well, that means I get to see it early, right? And they said, yeah. I said, okay, let's do that. So I saw the movie, and I want to congratulate all of you. And I just want to say, this is an amazing first film for you. Congratulations. I'm sorry you weren't able to get any high-profile producers to work on the movie with you. You know,
that's right.
But I mean, but it's I know you've had a long, fruitful, creative relationships with all these gentlemen. So just tell the story of how the movie happened.
Well, the film The Harder They Fall has been in my head for what seems like centuries. But it became real for me maybe over 10 years ago when I started like sketching it out and writing it out. And Jay and I have been friends for over 10 years. We're always collaborating. And I think about a decade ago, I made a short film which Jay and I were both cooking on, and I released it on Tidal. It was a Western called They Die by Dawn, and that was like my first foray into the Old West. And Jay put that out through his on his streaming service Tidal at the time. It was the only place it was available. And it was then I started writing The Harder They Fall. And because Jay and I always collaborate, we did the Great Gatsby together. There's a rapper called Jay Electronica we've done. And so we're always just in tandem and like cooking up stuff. When I started writing the script, we were going back and forth. So he was kind of always, it was like a natural progression. It was never a thing that he wasn't a part of. It was just a case of, okay, then when I finally finished the scripts, and then, when everyone's in the right place where it could then be made, we'll make it. And so that's really what it was for me. And through Jay-Z, James Lasseter came on board, and me and JL already were friends, and knew each other. And it was really just an organic, for me at least, really just an organic thing. It was like thought onto the page, JL, James Lasseter, JL and Jay-Z, like, it was kind of just a straight line.
Well, it's a beautiful thing. Just to see your three heads on this Zoom makes me feel good. Like, oh, this is how it should be. Now this is actually happening. This is a thing of absolute beauty. Now, so you have this bug about making a Western. So why Western for you? Why that genre?
One, like, I love cinema, right? I love cinema. I love all types of films. And I mean, absolutely love them. I watch like 3 films a day. The horrible thing about being grown up and becoming a professional is I can't watch as many films a day as I do. I'd be in 3 films a day as a child. And when I got older, there's like a steady diet of 2 films a day. Now, like, so I love films, but Westerns were always my favorite genre. They were always on TV as a kid, just in the background. It was almost like background music. The old shows, like the reruns of them, High Chaparral and Bonanza, and just all of these from those shows to the actual movies. And my parents used to love Westerns. I loved them so much, Reginald. But I was always wondering, like, why, when women are in Westerns, they're always subservient. Their storyline is always subservient to a man, and they can't fall away from those tropes. Even if you want something, as kind of nuanced as John Crawford and Johnny Guitar, right? okay, you stay with the storyline long enough, it's going to veer off into like some kind of subservient to a man tropes or something, right? And when they showed people of color, they were always treated less than human, and subservience would be a compliment to how those people were always treated. So just getting older, I would go and research more. I want to see more about the Old West, this genre I love so much, but was just feeding me. It was almost like I was being fed food through a straw. I know there's more on the plate than what you're giving me. And so I would just learn more about it until at the age of 14, 15, 16. I would venture to learn more about what that time period was like. And I'll find all of these rich characters: Cherokee Bill, Stagecoach Mary, Trudy, Gertrude Smith, Bill Pickett, Nat Love, and all of these characters that I've never been taught about and I've never been shown on screen from Hollywood. So that's what made me decide. It wasn't even a case of me deciding to do that as a film. That's what informed me, kind of to inform the first movie that I was gonna make. You know, just to bring balance to the force, as it were, and show a broader scope of what I've been given.
Well, it's amazing. You really do have the Avengers of real life Black Western heroes on the movie. I was like, oh, they got everybody. So it was wonderful just to see those character names on the screen. Remember when I first came to Los Angeles, I went to the Bill Pickett rodeo that they have, and I just thought, this is all great. So it's a wonderful thing. I also want to stop, because you mentioned Jay Electronica earlier. So I really want to thank Sean for doing the impossible and getting him to finish the album, put it out. That was my favorite album of that year. I just kept playing it, and I actually got my son on board. I'm like, see, this is, son, let daddy show you, let me give you some good taste. This is what it is. So I appreciate that. So this was quite an adventure for you to work with James and shepherd this project. Sean, tell me about your adventure in doing this from the producing side. Uh-oh, we're frozen.
Nah, he's answering. That's a great answer.
He's thoughtful. Okay, so James, let me throw it to you. What happened when Sean called you about this idea?
Well, usually, like, Jay has amazing instincts. So usually if Jay calls me about something, it's not even a second thought. It's like, let's go. And he's done that in the past, like with things like Fela on Broadway. It's just, I haven't seen it at the public. He told me about it, and it's just, let's go. So when he told me about this, it gave me a pause, because unlike James, Westerns just growing up weren't my thing. I didn't love Westerns like James, but I love story. So when I read the script, I said, this is amazing, but can this guy pull it off? Because I'd known James from a decade ago, but I knew him as Seal's little brother and as a music producer. And I'm like, this is really heady stuff. This is high wire stuff. Like, can this guy do this? And it takes 5 minutes with James that it's not even, can he do it? It is, he thought this thing through, like, in and out, higher, surface, heady. I mean, he had it all. James is so impressive. He was so knowledgeable about the story, so knowledgeable about the past. And on top of that, like you mentioned, these are real life characters that that don't get their due. Like, I know about Bass Reeves, I know about Nat Love. I brought James to my office, and I had this big poster of a Western from, I think, the 20s or 30s called The Crimson Skull. And with Bill Pickett, the actual Bill Pickett was in it. Mm-hmm. And it blew James's mind. And we just start rapping about it and rapping. And I got a peek into kind of his head and his vision. And at that point, I was like, not only does he have it, this guy's the real deal. And once again, Jay's instincts were spot on.
Awesome. Glad to have you back, Sean. So talk to me about when you decided to, you know, really take on the reins of producing and to pull this thing through? Tell me about your journey on this.
Sorry, my iPad overheated.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess you know, James and I, we're always having discussions. Both James, we always talk music and film. It was just really a matter of making it official. It's just like it was always a natural thing for us. We're always talking about music, always creating. When the opportunity came up to do The Great Gatsby, the first person I thought of was James Samuels. And you know, we went and did that, and then James and JL and I worked on a remake of Annie previously. So we were always like circling around and always like again, this is our life. Like we sit around and we love this. Like we love talking music and talking film. And you know, the opportunity came up, and JL and I created a partnership. And of course, the first person we was gonna go to is James, because you know, again, he's such a visionary, and it's just natural because we're always around each other, just you know, pulling these references and talking about film in a way that you know, it goes deep. It goes deep to you know, from every genre, as you see, you know, to take on a Black Western wouldn't be typical for, well, one wouldn't think would be typical for us, a genre that we would tackle, but it seemed natural because we're just really telling the story. The setting is the setting, right? And we love the opportunity to broaden the scope and to show that, you know, 1 in 3 cowboys are Black. That's just a fact, you know, and these people really existed. And, you know, there's the part in the movie when Nat Love says to Baz Reeves, you and your gang brought in Rufus Buck. He says, no, I brought him in by myself. Baz Reeves, right? That's, as we know, that's not a typical thing. So Baz Reeves was the inspiration for the Lone Ranger, right? Hence the name. He brought him in himself, the Lone Ranger. And that's how bad he was. And you know, we got these characters adopted and, you know, taken away and whitewashed from us. And you know, that part is cool. But the idea of telling these stories of complex characters, like Rufus Buck would be, you know, a leader of a Fortune 500 company. He's just a natural leader. The circumstances in which he was born into, right? You know, through his dad, you know, what happened between his dad and mom, forced his life to go in a certain direction. But, you know, had his circumstances been different, he would be leading a Fortune 500 company. So those characters was just super interesting for us. And yeah, we just made it official, something that we just do, you know, normally, typically.
I love it. You know, with all your watching of Westerns, do you ever watch Buck and the Preacher?
Me?
Yes, sir. Yeah,
oh, yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. I love Buck and the Preacher. Love it. Love it. Yeah.
I mean, because for me, like yourself, you know, I subscribe to every streaming service. I'm like,
yeah.
Now I can, you know, if only like you, this damn day job is stopping me from now rewatching movies. But I remember seeing Buck and the Preacher and going, oh, finally, you know, and Sydney had those 2 sawed-off shotguns, and I'm like, oh, that's what I'm talking, you know, the joy of that. So for me, I feel this great connection between that film and what you did. You took that seed and grew it to a mighty oak, and it's wonderful to see those ideas extended out and built out.
Thank you. For me, I mean, that's a great reference, Buck and the Preacher. And what was missing for even back then for me, where I wasn't being fed kind of the full meal that I wanted. I wanted to see a Western about, or I wanted to see not necessarily a Western, but about a movie about people just in their own world, like in their own thing, not being chased by a white villain, not being like just people in their own world. As Jay says, it's a Western literally is only because of the time and location. That's what makes a Western. Outside of that, it's just a story, right?
Right.
But yet, every time they put us in that time and location, even when we were making the movies ourselves, like this white villain baddie, or there'll be references to us being slaves, or there's something there's something about seeing people of color, just in general, amongst themselves in their own environment, with their own issues. There's something about that for me is really empowering visually, but it seemed that Hollywood was kind of scared of, and kind of ingrained into us that even when we make it, we're not going to tell that story, but we got our own villains and our own issues, and our own, so I just really wanted to show that more than reference a particular movie, but there are things that are not even accidental, right? They're ingrained in me, like what you was talking about, the guns of Buck and the Preacher, or if you go back to I think it was the 30s, there's a film called The Bronze Buckaroo, right? Bronze Buckaroo, Herb Jeffries, and it's like a dope film. It's almost like these people had $3 to make a movie and no distribution, but they just would make these movies. And then there's a scene in it where this guy, he keeps trying to kill the protagonist, and every time he goes to kill this man, he gets stopped, he gets halted. No, leave him alone. And one time he goes, and he looks at the guy and he goes, in case I forget, please remind me to kill you. So when I made They Die by Dawn, the short film, I cast Isaiah Washington as Ben Hodges and Michael K. Williams as Nat Love, right? And Ben Hodges got stopped from killing Nat Love, and he leans over to him and he goes, it was me paying homage to the Bronze Buckaroo. In case I forget, please remind me to kill you. I think it's such a bar that even when those guys had like $3.37 to make a movie, they'll still come with bars that I would remember almost 100 years later. You know what I mean? And so there's always little references from other things that kind of stick with me, especially things like Buck and the Preacher.
I love that you referenced Bronze Buckaroo. Herb Jeffries is an amazing guy, because when he passed, it came out that he was passing for black.
Yeah, that he wasn't even. When they go like, there was films like with black cowboys and black. Back then, he wasn't actually. It turned out that he wasn't actually black, right? Like, and he kept his background dubious because he was making money out here, like from this community, right? He was like, shh. But
it's working out. It's working out. I'd be an extra in Hollywood. This is going good.
Exactly. To me, which goes even further to say, like, The Harder They Fall is the first of its kind. Like, it's the first. I don't mean like with an all black cast. I don't mean that, but just even with regards to the story and the content and the music, the score, right? Like literally, like all of the intent, and to not show us in any form of subservience is really was really my biggest mission. I can't complain if I can contribute. I can't critique if I can create. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that stance, I'm glad you articulated, because it's a very inherently empowering thing that an audience may not be conscious of, but they feel it, right? They feel the freedom of all the characters, which makes you be able to not be distracted by that and just go, I'm enjoying my Western. I'm enjoying that.
Exactly.
No, very, very, very powerful, guys. And it's a beautiful thing. And and I saw other references like the showdown between the two ladies in Act 3. You're in the area where they're dyeing fabrics, and I'm like, did you get that from Raise the Red Lantern? I mean, because I was like, wait a minute, I have seen that in a kung fu film. And I'm like, I respect it. That's a beautiful sample if that's where it came from. Or you came from it on your own. I'm just asking.
And I love that movie, but JL can speak more to that. Like one thing with James Lassiter, this guy is like really meticulous when it comes to detail, and he's humble when he's speaking about it because he doesn't say. Where you see the Crimson Hood gang, right? That was really James Lasseter's idea. When he was telling me about the Crimson Skull, we were talking about it, this and that and the other. We were both like, Crimson Hood gang. And we put them in the thing, and that's what comes from cooking with James Lasseter. And the dye, the fabric, the dyeing of the fabrics behind Main Street, right, came from like conversations with James Lasseter and Martin Wiss, our production designer. And JL was really had a really connection to the story that's taken place behind the story, like behind the town, because that speaks as much to who these people are as the actual words and the dialogue and the tale I'm telling. But what's going on and what they do in their daytime and how the town kind of makes its money. And so it was really more that stuff. But you can speak to that, JL, like the thought process behind.
Well, that's exactly it. And to answer your question, Reggie, it wasn't a nod to an homage or an homage to another movie. That's something that our production designer came up with, just the look and feel of it. But we did discuss that part of the industry, because what entrepreneurs, they were building a city, they were building a mecca, an outpost for Black people in the West. And we just had a lot of conversations about what is their industry, what do they do? Because everybody in town is not an outlaw, everybody's not about a bank robber. What do they do? And we started talking about that, and we decided somewhere along the way that textiles was really important, because James and Antoinette, our costume designer, had these elaborate outfits for our characters. And we said there needs to be justification for everything that we do in this movie. So we decided it's a textile town, in addition to some of the criminal element that goes on. It's a saloon that Trudy owned. So each building had to have a purpose. And once Martin started sketching out what the dye room and the textile room would look like, James just, in his wisdom, just said, that's what we're having, this Mary Trudy fight, And the Mary Trudy fight was really important to us, particularly James. James had a real vision for what that fight can be, because it was important that these women are individuals and stand alone and entrepreneurs. So bringing all that together, to have it in that location with those colors, it actually was perfect. But we like to think we came up with that on our own. I wasn't familiar with the other movie.
No. And look, it wouldn't matter to me either way. I love hearing the origin story because, look, you've done this a million times, JL. The locations for the third act resolution, it's always a tough location to figure out. And like, right. how do you like, let's not do the warehouse on the edge of town. There's so many cliches in that arena. So to find something that's, stylish and inventive and colorful, and particularly in contrast to the, white town, which is literally washed out. It was just invigorating to me, and just a really great choice amongst many great production design choices that you guys made, but that one was really exceptional. I just want to give you props for that because it was very well done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's talk about this unbelievable cast that you guys put together. So tell me about the process of assembling all those folks.
For me, it was one, the characters that I put into the story, Rufus Buck, Cherokee Bill, Nat Love, Stagecoach Mary, Gertrude Smith, are such larger than life characters for me. And even if some of them were villains in real life and others were goodies, they're all superheroes to me because I can read about them over 100 years later. And what makes them heroes to me is that they give me superpowers when I'm learning about them, and they are all criminally unsung. Because of that reason, if I've written about the larger than life characters that really existed, I need larger than life actors to play them. I need Regina King for Gertrude Smith. There can be no other. I'm talking about Rufus Buck, who's the tallest genius. I'm 6'2". Idris is 2 inches taller than me in real life. He's one of the few people that I talk to. I'm looking, can you just shrink for a minute? So I need like just a snatch of it. Idris Elba. I don't know if you've seen a movie called Things to Do in Denver When You're Dead, right? The reason it's called Things to Do in Denver When You're Dead is because Christopher Walken tells Treat Williams, Andy Garcia, I think Bill Nunn, if I remember right, he tells them, you're all going to get buckwheated. You're all going to get buckwheated. All of you, buckwheated. No, you're all going to get buckwheated. So they know when they hear the word buckwheat, they're all dead. So basically wrap up your life's Things to Do in Denver When You're Dead. There's no escaping from this guy. And then the guy gets off the train. He gets off the train. He arrives in Denver. He gets off the train and it's Steve Buscemi. And at that time, Steve Buscemi wasn't, he had just done like Reservoir Dogs and the defaced Blur in Pulp Fiction. He wasn't. Steve Buscemi and his demeanor is a stone cold killer. He's so stone cold, before he kills, they titled the movie after what he's going to do when he gets off the train. That's how I call Cherokee Bill. And if you look at like Lakeith Stanfield, for me, when I look at like a movie as dope as like Sorry to Bother You, and I go, wow, if you look at that character, Sorry to Bother You, what if he was a serial killer? That'd be the scariest guy. You know, the deepest dudes are the friendliest ones. The ones that do the most scary stuff are the most friendliest ones. And sometimes they don't want to do it. To me, okay, it's Lakeith Stanfield. Like Lakeith, he embodies a person that is dealing with pain, heartache, doesn't really want violence, and he'll tell you that he doesn't want to kill you before he kills you. But because you misbehave, why does it always have to be one hero, right? Before you misbehave, or as soon as you misbehave, you know, basically, you wrap up the things you need to do in Denver. So I was just like, okay, like we need, and then it was just a case of connecting with these characters, and not all of them have to be famous, right, or well known. Like say an R.J. Kyler, who's done a lot of stellar work, but it's not like he's known to all audiences. But he's a larger than life character. I feel his presence. Or Danielle Deadwyler, who plays Cuffy, Jonathan Majors, who plays Nat Love, and going against these well-known faces. But you know, I wanted to cast, and I think we all did, wanted to cast according to the strength of the characters on the page. You need superheroes to play superheroes.
Yes, indeed, and I agree with you. I loved meeting, all the wonderful new actors in the movie as much as seeing, my favorites. I was like, oh, who's that young man? Who's that young lady? Boy, they are holding their own in a hell of a room, right? And in this murderer's row, they're standing up. Duly noted.
Absolutely. Like, meeting Tisha Campbell at a house party. You know what I mean? Where you at? Where you at? Still do that today.
But Reggie, in addition to that, you know, James and Jay were bold enough to cast Deon Cole, where he's known as a comedian. He's on Blackish every week, and we think about him one way, but they saw something really specific in the actor Deon, where James was like, "That's him. That's our Wiley Esco." And you know, while others like thought, "Really, man, Deon, you think he can do it?" Immediately, they're like, "No, he's our guy. He can do it," and he killed it.
Yeah, he killed it. You embraced it. You embraced it immediately as well, JL. Like we were. I think why I was fortunate is because, as you can see from this court, I'm dealing with two super creative human beings at literally every aspect of the script and story, right? Literally, like super creative. So JL would look at the script, right, and he would it gets to the point where I actually hate that he's right, right? He would say something like, "Well, that person has to die then." No, he doesn't have no, he doesn't have to die. James, if blah 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 for the audience, he needs to die. Okay, just look at this. And it's such a beautiful thing. It's the comment when I'm working with Sean and JL. Reggie, it's like being at home when I was 10 or 11, 12, speaking about stuff with my sisters and brothers. Like, okay, what we did, it is literally exactly the same thing. The way the universe has designed my life. He gave me two guys that are exactly the same, it give me the exact same creative inspiration that I had as a kid growing up. But I was like, when I get older, I'm gonna make a also, I would say, a crazy thing about Jay-Z is that he's a cinephile, right? He's a cinephile. I tell this to everyone because people always say, "Oh, what was it like working with Jay-Z on the music?" I'm like, the music, that was the last thing. I'll actually go as far as to say we didn't work an inch on the music. It's not work to us. That's breathing. Like I call Jay. Jay will call me and he goes, like, once a week, he'll go, "You by yourself?" That means he's going to give me the bars of life. Wait, Reggie, so much so that now I have to lie because I need the bars. And a lot of times I'm not by myself. People I'm popular now, right? So he goes, "You by yourself?" You just give me these bars. You just written, okay, but that's not the harder they fall. Jay-Z is a cinephile. He loves movies. From his first album, from Reasonable Doubt, it's all cinematic references. Watch this. Doing car. You think you're big time? You gonna die big time? Here come the pain. Let's go to him quoting your movie, Reggie, on Blueprint. "Ain't no love in the heart of the city." What's the first line? "First the fat boys break up. Now every day I wake up, somebody got a problem. First the fat boys break up. And now this, Chris Rock, Velvet, Boomerang." My point is, his brain, when it comes to film, is ridiculously deep, and his knowledge of it, and his knowledge of story. So between JL and Jay-Z, I could not put a foot wrong. If I be stuck on why doesn't the guy pull out his gun, I'll call Jay and he'll tell me we know the character's motivation, but his reasoning of why he doesn't pull out a gun and automatically shoot just then at that particular point. Then Jay would start talking about what the character's motivations are, not in general, but while they're in danger, or while they're gonna, what is it you look at? What is it you see? And I'll use all of that in the script. So his collaboration with me, musically, it's like just breathing, but it was really intense with regards to the actual making of the movie and telling of this story.
I'm so glad you clarified that, because obviously James Lasseter's reputation as a producer is well known. Obviously, he just made so many great films back to back to back. I mean, no one could question that. But yes, it's very easy for people to try to put Jay in a box. But that's people who've never heard Fallen, who don't understand what a master storyteller he is. I mean, I could pick any number of tracks from any other album, but Fallen for me is my latest obsession. And you just get stuck on, it's like, this one, do you hear what he's saying here? You know, they didn't have this when they shot the movie. They actually could have made a movie within the movie just of this. Anyway, all that to say, what's beautiful about this, all you guys have the PGA mark. All of you describe a very unique dynamic in terms of producing this movie together, because there was an organic relationship between the three of you, right? This wasn't a shotgun marriage where people are being put together, right? Yeah. You came together and you just played in the sandbox, and that's a rare circumstance for a movie to get made, right? Particularly on the scale that you guys are doing it. You're not saying we each can put 5,000 on it. You know, you know, you guys put together and made a major motion picture together with that same spirit of we just in the lab doing it. And that's a rare and beautiful thing.
Yeah, yesterday, James, JL, we was waiting to start the screening, and he just said, we just talking shop, and he was like, man, this is fun. You know, I don't want this to stop being fun. Let's map out what we're doing next and how we're gonna, you know, how we're gonna approach it. Because like you just said, you know, once we're in the sandbox and it's not making the film. It's like really being true to the characters and what would the person do? How would they think? He would never shoot him in the back. He wouldn't get that satisfaction. You know, like, you know, it's just making what you want to see. I guess creating what you want to see as opposed to creating something that's aimed at a particular audience or aimed at, you know, pleasing something. You know, we're actually trying to impress each other. We're trying to impress each other with, you know, the things we come up with. Oh, I got an idea today. This one's gonna get everybody. You know, and it's like, James came up with a great one. That's and then it hurts, you know. But when it's so good, it hurts. It's like, ooh, that was a good one.
Yeah.
So, you know, staying like that and being childlike in the approach.
Absolutely.
That's the whole thing. Well, guys, thank you for making this movie. In the old days, and JL knows this. In the early days of kind of the modern Black film movement, everybody was dependent on each other, right? Like, okay, you know, it's like your movie was #1 at the box office. That means my movie got greenlit on Monday, right? And we each, you know, and if somebody failed, that was it. Your movie got canceled, right? It was like, oh, that was fun, that was fun stuff. So, and I mean, you know, the minute I saw your trailer, I was like, okay, you know, Django got the ball rolling, but this is really will start the Black Western movement of doing a lot of movies. But whether you do a Western, because, you know, we saw that Regina King was still alive, you know, but I'm excited about all the things you guys are going to do, and I appreciate that. I look forward to all the movies you guys are making. So thank you for making this, and you know, go back to work. You're done. Enough of this. Enough talking.
That's right.
Go back to the lab.
Thank you, man. The Harder They Fall is one of the movies that when you tell your friend about it, you go, you by yourself? Thank you so much.
Good Thank you guys.
All right. All right. Good man.
Yo, hey man. Shout out to the producers. you know, getting the insight of their mindset, you know, and making this film. I mean, yo, one thing I could, I don't know if anybody can tell me what Seal and his brother are. You know, they say they're from London, and you can hear the British accent and stuff like that. But are they islanders? I think Seal is from Nigeria. He's Nigerian. If I'm not mistaken, he's definitely from the continent. If anybody can, I don't want to look that up real fast. I didn't look that up. But we know that Jay-Z is from the islands. And I don't know about the other brother, James J.L. Latimer, is his name or whatever. But you know, I know people are saying that we need people to tell our stories. We need our stories told, whoever's telling them. You know what I mean? Idris Elba is also from the UK. You know, one of the main characters in the film. He was actually the protagonist in the film. And I don't know if you guys want to tackle that. They said their mother is Nigerian, their father is Brazilian. Hey, that's interesting. Brazilian father and Nigerian mother. That's a real interesting combination there, yeah. So I guess they would be African Americans. You know what I'm saying? Hey, so when we talk about Westerns, I grew up on Westerns as well, loving Westerns. Once again, seeing these characters, you know, fighting against the Indians, right? And just inevitably, you know, when you're watching these films, right, like they're set to where they make you root for the white hats, right? We're gonna say that. We'll call them the white hats, right? The hats are white, right? And honoring the white hats more than the black hat. They make the bad guys be wearing black and stuff like that or whatever. And, you know, and at the end, the white hats win. You know what I mean? And that's kind of more of a metaphorical thing. So when you're watching this film, right? Once again, I feel like this was just the beginning, once again, the beginning of not only this series of films or whatever, but like they said, you know, the resurgence of the Black Cowboy, you know, and things of that nature or whatever. When we talk about the rodeo, the Bill Pickett rodeo and all these other things or whatever, when we talk about in Texas, for instance, when I was in Texas this summer in Louisiana, they have these things called rodeo, trail rides, trail rides. And people come out in the trail rides and they're riding horses. Obviously they're having wagons and just festivities, man. Music, you know, we had some performances at the trail rides and things of that nature this year. It was just a real beautiful experience, man, that our people, you know, are you know, just riding horses. You know, I took pictures of brothers, just like a group of brothers. Like, you know how you have young men riding motorcycles in Philadelphia, you know, at 12 o'clock. You got guys riding horses in groups like that around Texas. It's really crazy, yo. You know, just down the street, you'd be like, ah, damn, you know what I'm saying? It was really interesting, man, and really beautiful to see our people riding horses or whatever. But, you know, they got urban cowboys riding horses and things, even in Philadelphia, which is really interesting, yeah. So it's just when we talk about these cowboys, right? And you hear things like the first winner of the Kentucky Derby, for instance, was a black cowboy, right? Well, the owners of all the horses at the Kentucky Derby, right, were Negroes. Now, when you go to Churchill Down now, you know, in May, when they have the Kentucky Derby, right, in Louisville, Kentucky. I don't know if you guys ever been down to the Derby. I've been down to the Derby. We used to go down there every year for Derby, and we never went to the actual horse race, right? Because once again, Churchill Down now is owned, all the horse owners are owned by foreigners, right? And the riders are all foreigners as well, okay? Now, I never had appreciation for horseback riding. That's why every time we went to Derby, we just went down there just to see the festivities. It was kind of more like I don't know if you guys, when they have certain things in the city, people like to ride around in their nice cars, and you have clubs jumping off and performances and stuff. So Derby, Kentucky Derby is like that every year. So people are not going down there for the horse riding, see the horse riding. They're going down there for the festivities, right? But the history of the Kentucky Derby is we were the owners as well as all the riders of those horses in the Kentucky Derby, right? Now, I don't know how it changed, and you guys see how the Kentucky Derby is now. It's really, what I want to say, pale. Let's just say it like that. It's really pale and pasty. You know what I'm saying? But it's really interesting, the history that also in this movie, like I said, they were definitely putting imagery and things into this film. Now, without telling the plot of the story, right? I submit, just for me, that once again, once we took on, we talk about the baby boule and stuff like that or whatever, we understand even in the late 1800s, going into the 1900s, when the transition of economic empowerment switched over, right? That's when the educational process starts. So a lot of these people that we're talking about, a lot of these characters were educated in religious schooling, right? They had a religious schooling, whether it was the Indian schools or whatever, be the Catholic nuns, you know what I'm saying, and priests, different things like that or whatever, were educating and once again, educating our people and giving them a certain mindset. You understand what I'm saying? So when they talk about Stagecoach Mary they called her White Crow, basically she was black, right? Black Mary, but they called her White Crow. She looked black, but she act like she was white, right? Now, I think that's an interesting concept. Once again, what does acting white look like? What is that? What are we talking about? When people say you're talking white, like, what does that mean? You're talking perfect English, you're talking intellectually. What are we saying when we're saying that? So for them to put that in that passage, whatever, and once again, it's the mindset of people who are writing definitions or whatever, it's always an agenda that is to be had. So for these guys to be the producers of the film, once again, is to show. It was something that the brother Kevin James was saying that was important for him, is not to show us in a subservient role to the pale skins, right? Now, in the little trailer part, as you guys seen earlier, it was they showed them they took the train, right? And in the train, they took Idris Elba. He was in a steel box, right? And he was being guarded by Union soldiers, right? And they were transporting him to another prison. Now, when they got on the train, I ain't gonna tell the movie, whatever, but the reason why I'm saying this part, right? So now, once they get him out and get him out the chains, and he gets out and he looks around, whatever, right? I just say that the imagery, right, as opposed to the pale skins killing us, they killed them. I followed me, just a cold scene. I think it was one of the coldest scenes in the movie. You know what I'm saying? He's walking out through the train car. They then came out this prison box, steel prison box to be exact, right? And these pale skins are guarding him or whatever, right? And he's walking out of that. That's like the coldest part of the movie to me. It's in slow motion. They just killing them. Bullets flying, shells flying, all this type of shit or whatever. Super awesome part of the film, yeah. But the imagery and these things that you see, see us, like they said, in a superhero type of role, sort of like in Django and things of that nature. So it's important for us to create our own heroes and create our own imagery, right? As opposed to seeing us in the subservient roles or in a role that's going to be a loser. So I think it's really important, yeah. But once again, the lesson in this, though, for me, in decoding this or whatever, right? Because inevitably we know the history and what actually happened, that these people actually did come and take over in different ways by annexing or putting the city into the, you know, our cities or annexing those cities inside their cities. Like, so, okay, well, now you guys are all on well water, right? You guys are all on well water, but now you guys are on city water, right? And you're paying for water. And water is a sort of resource that everybody needs, right? Just another example of what we're talking about. So, and once, like, for instance, a city like Las Vegas, that was the first service that they established here in this city from one ranch, right? So from one ranch, this city became the city that it is now, based off of one ranch, and them coming in, bringing the railroad in here, which they don't have right now, right? But bringing the railroad in here, and the first thing that was established was water. You need water to live, okay? Once again, we're in the middle of the desert, redirecting water, Colorado River, Lake Mead, so on and so forth, right? That was one of the first things that they established to form this city was water, right? So once again, we already had our water, we already had cities. I don't know if you guys seen the Black Cities joint that we did last year. We showed hundreds of cities all over America, right? When we're talking about Texas, for instance, a lot of these characters and a lot of this stuff was happening. Bass Reeves, Love character, whatever. It says that when he left, escaped the Pima Indians in Arizona, he went to West Texas, right? He wasn't concerned about running into white towns and all this other stuff. They put this illusion out there that they had all these towns here. Well, they didn't, because they wasn't here yet. Okay, so once again, the narratives and things that they try to paint, this movie is, I'm not saying it's telling the full story, but it's giving us hints. It's going in that direction, right? And now we can start asking questions, right? Well, why is this? Why is this? Why did these things happen, right? Now, when we seeing people getting their land back, like the Bruces in California, right? Well, here's the thing: if they don't have any plans to develop or the resources and things to develop that land, once again, it's just going to either just be ran down or it's going to end up going back to these people in the first place. So it's important for us to have some type of plans, some type of things going on. So even in these cities, right, they were talking about what industry would they had been using or whatever, you know what I mean? Because like I said, it was a part. Idris Elba was trying to keep the city. Deon Cole, while Idris Elba was in prison, right? Rufus Buck, Deon Cole, which was his partner, his best friend, was the sheriff of the city, was like, hey, man, it's inevitable. These people are coming. I'm about to sell and get the fuck out, right? So it was kind of interesting. Like, say, for instance, if you have a town and you've developed all this stuff and you did all these things, that they could basically sell the land that you're on top of, right? And move you. And this happened. This is a historical account of things that actually happened. Now, when they broke Idris Elba, aka Rufus Buck, out of prison, right? It was really interesting because he had got a pardon, right? He had got a pardon. And it was interesting that the pale skins basically not only, should I tell it? Yeah, I got to tell it because it's really interesting. Because once again, the law doesn't necessarily have a color on it, right? Doesn't have a color on it unless it's, once again, if you in a position of power and you know you can do things for your partners and friends. Like, okay, you got a friend coming in your court, you judge Joe Brown or whatever, it's your partner or whatever, you could do things or whatever, give him probation. Like, he murdered somebody, like, that's my friend, you know what I mean? So it's things that, these things can actually happen, or actually are happening in America, right? So when we talk about the history of this country and how we lost power, that was a reoccurring question that they kept asking the other night over there at Psycho and Renee's channel. Kept asking, how did you guys lose power? I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? I thought we are all in this together when we're talking about getting power, right? So of course we have to reverse engineer this. We lost power by allowing these people to educate us, allowing these people to give us our spiritual reality, allowing these people to feed us, allowing these people to give us our water, allowing these people to do all these things that we've done. Is our downfall. So that's how I feel about it. I'm gonna put this link in the chat room one more time, y'all. We're gonna get up out of here. Let's say peace to everybody. Say King Kapala in the building. Jay Davis. What you got in here? Ricardo D. Nubian Page. Leonard. Shalom. Snake Guys in the building. Monaga. Say peace to everybody, man. If you guys haven't subscribed to I Don't Give a Fuck Sports News Entertainment, please take the time out to do that, please. Share this on all your social media platforms. We definitely appreciate you guys tuning in tonight. In decoding this film, man, like I said, before we get up out of here, let me put this in here real fast. A second. Like I said, knowing the history, but I'm not trying to tell too much of the movie, but knowing the history of America, I gotta say, man, even though we have real characters in a fictional movie, just a lot of the, just seeing this movie, man, it's really a good feeling, and it's good to see that they have fun doing it. And I'm gonna be real with y'all, man. We're having a lot of fun, making this documentary and this docu-series, so to speak. This is fun doing this work, man. It's fun being a warrior, you know what I'm saying, champion for the people, man. I mean, it's just fun, man. It's fun. It's a fun time right now in history, man. Even when it looks bad and it gets tough, man, it's still fun, man. It's fun. Even the adversity is fun, yeah. You know what I mean? If everything was easy, we wouldn't be able to appreciate it when it's not, man. If it never rained, we would never be able to appreciate the sun. Good sunny days, man. So that's how I look at it, y'all. See truth in the building. Once again, man, like I said, I think this is a great film. It was good that we could, find the joint with them talking about the making of the film. That was dope. Yeah, man, it was like I said, it was a great film, y'all. So if y'all haven't seen it, go check it out. It's a great twist at the end. I think y'all gonna like it. See some great actors and the chemistry and the things, how they were working together, playing off each other. I think it was a great film, y'all. I didn't see anything wrong in it. You know what I'm saying? So I say that, man. I think it's a great film. I think once we can start doing without the black-white stuff and start calling, and speaking on that, because one thing was interesting, I could say that they didn't touch on any of the Aboriginal stuff or any of the indigenous stuff. You know what I mean? Like they didn't touch on that at all, y'all. They just kind of stayed away from that. So it was more like a cowboy film. But I say Cowboyz and Indians because I'm submitting that they one and the same. Period. So, you know, when you look into the background of these cowboys, they all have a so-called indigenous or native connection. You know what I'm saying? Speaking the languages, all these other things. You know, knowing the territory, being safe because they knew the people. You know, even the Nat Love, you know, having similar life being spared because he has similar heritage than the people, than the Pima Indians, you know what I'm saying? But then they throw the curveball in there by saying, oh, but you know, that's because someone were mixed. So what are they talking about? The African, the heritage that they had together, or what they had in common from being the same, similar people, having a similar language set and stuff like that. So that's another thing too. Now, a lot of these people were educated, and so they did speak English, but they also spoke another language. You know what I'm saying? So we got to get to the bottom of this thing, man. Like I said, this is just part one, or it's actually part two of Black Cowboys and Indians. And y'all already know Cowboys and Indians coming soon, man. We coming 2022. Got other projects we're working on, man. Let me get some music. We get up out of here, man. I'll say thank you guys for coming out tonight. Thank everybody for supporting the channel. Appreciate you guys, man. I see Hiker in the building. Hiker be coming in with the motherfucking tomahawks all the time. Shout out to the guy, man. Definitely appreciate you, brother. Big Dog Philly OGs in the building. Peace to the guy, man. Appreciate you guys, man, for tapping in. Yeah, man, we're gonna get a song, man. We're gonna get up out of here. Let's go out here with Trey Ali. Whatever you want to play, let's get it. 1865. Let's try that. 1865, Trey Ali, man. We're gonna get out here with Trey Ali, 1865, y'all. I want to say once again, shout out to Threads, man. Yeah, man, we're gonna see what's going on. I think the second time it played, man, it played pretty good, man. So shout out to Threads, man. We definitely playing more of his music. So I want to say peace and paradise to all American Aborigines, man. You guys have a great evening. Sean Israel in the building. Shalom, brother. It's 1865. Yeah, man, you guys get a chance, man. Check that movie out. And man, I'm gonna go back and watch some of these older movies like Buck and the Preacher. What was that one? Thomasina, and it's a lot of different ones, man, out there, man. But yeah, we're gonna get up out of here, man. This is Trey Ali, 1865. Man, you guys have a great evening.
Yeah. Hey man, all I'm saying is, nigga, you always got something to say. It's like you don't shut up.
On the track.
A lot of niggas died 1865. Single Michael fled highway, ain't gon' let it ride. Everybody hot and black was never on your side. They do maps to tell your apps where you sleep at night. They put that white man on. Got you begging them for answers like that white man know. Had you swearing you was African, that's that white man home. Had you proud to be a savage, that's that white man's zone. And I ain't talking shit, this my definition. If being savage was our nature, y'all be non-existent. We done took your ass out when we was in them kitchens. Instead of showing you how to live and how to maintain business. White supremacy fake. Only way that shit real is if you do what they say. We the guards of the gate. So when they say they fear God, now you know what they made. Shoot some, move some, shoot some, move some. Put us in the same room, he gon' go down. Hit a nigga with that boom, he gon' go down. Shoot some, move some, shoot some, move some. Put us in the same room, he gon' go down. Hit a nigga with that boom, he gon' go down. Every day my niggas dying, they don't know the truth. How the hell you close to God, we don't know it's you. Yo, how the hell you supposed to survive, we don't know the shoot. He should've died, you let him slide, cause he look just like you. I tried to tell him all skin ain't kin. Everybody ain't your partner, everybody ain't your friend. How the hell they supposed to help when they the ones that put you in? They don't struggle how we struggle, they can't get it how we live. Can't be scared to die when we already dead. Either way, your life is stake no matter how you play it. My higher self said we should choose remain godly. My lower want these motherfucking bodies. Infiltrate they circles like a motherfucking Audi. Take them to the south and put them down like OG Bobby. They don't want equality in this club, they want these problems. Killers right beside me, slam full of chicken mockers. Shoot some, move some, shoot some, move some. Put us in the same room, he gon' go down. Hit a nigga with that boom, he gon' go down. Shoot some, move some, shoot some, move some. Put us in the same room, he gon' go down. Hit a nigga with that boom, he gon' go down.